right, it looks like we are in the action already. Operator bans going out. Jesse, what are your thoughts?
Well, I always want to see an Azami ban on Chalet. We didn't get it the first time. There it is for the second ban. So crisis averted. I think this is such a broken map for Azami, frankly. And so always a little nervous if we don't get it banned out at the start of the game. But we did see it get removed. You pair that with Amira. I think pretty common bans across the board for both the attackers and defenders coming up here between these two teams. So it'll be fun to see how this first Chalet goes. I think the Des did a great job breaking it down, but just to kind of reiterate as we have a little bit of time here, this is a great map for both of these two teams. Liquid particularly, a 6-1 record on Chalet this season, only losing one time. That one time was against FaZe Clan. It was 8-7, and it was 1 week ago. So it was a 6-game winning streak right until they played that 15-round match up against FaZe. W7M, I would say, are not the favorites, at least on map 1 of this series, but they're also a good Chalet team. I'm looking at a 5-2 record this season, only losing to Falcons at Reload and losing to Furia last week. So it's also a good map for them. But you got to imagine, right, for Team Liquid, this is the map that they are the most comfortable on. This is the map that they have been the most dominant on since the season started and they kind of went through with their roster moves. I'm hoping we get a really competitive game to start things off.
I mean, not even to start things off. I just want a real competitive game no matter what. But I will say, just for vocal stamina, if they want to make it a little bit less exciting so that, well, you know, we don't have to yell as much, I'm always okay with that. No, I'm just kidding. I've heard that the lobby is broken. So unfortunately, we are waiting for everything to get fixed before we can get back in. What an incredible run from that Los team, by the way. I know the Des talked about it in the postmortem, and of course you got to ride along and witness it as we went through it. But basically, all but one round played between two teams is incredibly even. About what we expect at this point in time. That was our expectation in this W7M Team Liquid matchup. If the desk had asked me my thoughts regarding these teams, I would say I think either W7M 2-0s it, or Liquid wins a brutally ugly 3-mapper. I don't really think there is a possible outcome beyond that. I think W7M can obviously win in a 3-mapper as well, but I think those are the two most likely outcomes. It remains to be seen what exactly happens, but I mean, W7M's been a pretty fine team. They've certainly been a little bit better than Liquid in terms of group stage play. But there are obviously weaknesses on this W7M team that have been taken advantage of so far through the playoffs. Ditto for Liquid. So we find ourselves in interesting and uncharted territory, Jesse.
That we do, Parker. And if we do see a win from Team Liquid, I would have to imagine that that would be more uncharted territory, as W7M are, of course, the reigning major champions, winning the Montreal Major 1 year ago. So they're going to be wanting to make it back to one of those big events. They want to show that they are still one of the best teams in the world. Des talked a lot about how this team has maybe fallen off a little bit over the last couple of months and are no longer really in the conversation for best in Brazil, struggling against Furia, struggling against some of the top teams in the world. They're still very good. Don't get me wrong on that, but we know how good they've been in the past. And I think we're all kind of waiting for them to get back there. For Liquid, it's been, you know, a little bit longer since they would be in the conversation for best team in the world, but still a great team in their own right who have had some really deep tournament runs in over the many eras that they've been here in Siege.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
This Team Liquid squad has been searching for an identity over the last couple stages, as they've tried everything to find new players to carry on in what could be a great run for a new team, but Liquid defies all logic a lot of times, Jesse. I struggle to think of a team in Rainbow Six Siege that has changed as many things, still found success despite all of their changes. Liquid has never been a bad team. They haven't been the best in the region a few times, but this is still a team that can not easily make majors, but definitely be in contention for it. When they do make majors, they are still a threat, even if they completely bomb out. They are an enigma. And now with Daffodil and Lenda on this team, it seems like they have much faster been able to put things together. Speaking of fast, w7m are clearing out this bomb site and they are off to the races. In the corner, Dots finding an opportunity to get Diffuser down. No blitz, no Monty, no problem. A Fuse shield will come in, and with 9 players still alive, the objective is down. Goodbye to Daffo. Everybody on w7m still alive. Jesse, we might have another map where you're not really able to talk. Down goes Maya at the hands of Dodez. w7m breaking Liquid's back. Dodez having a huge round. It's up to Diaz and Lenda as the time continues to run away. Dodez on limited HP, but it might not matter. An upside down rappel is a hard thing to deal with. Volps and Palu combining for the final kills. Funny enough, both former Team Liquid players, and w7m is off to the races.
Perfect little rush coming through. Again, I'm not going to complain if we're going to get some brilliant attacks like that to start off the day. And that's what we're expecting from these two teams, right? A high level of competition where both teams are showing some really cool stuff on attack and on defense. Felt like that was a great push to come on through from them in that round. Standard rush in with the shield. I think, you know, maybe the only thing that's worth pointing out in that round was just the plant spot in particular. It was quite deep where Dots ended up going. He didn't just plant in the smoke. He actually planted outside of the smoke, but he planted up on the little like couch or table that's kind of in the corner there. And so you couldn't actually see him from anywhere inside of games, but he was still able to be getting that plant down on the ground. He wasn't in the smoke, but still obscured. Nice little plant spot to come through from him. He would have died to the nitro, I'm quite sure, of Diaz had he not chosen such a tight plant spot. So nice stuff coming out from Dots to start things off, and Team Liquid hopefully going to be a little more ready for that next time.
You're not going to be able to replicate that kind of rush strat on every single bomb site on Chalet. Obviously, with that big window being the main entry point for a lot of teams, it's very easy to just hop in, get the case down, and move on with your lives. w7m assessed that Liquid is still too far off site. We can take this opportunity to punish them. It's a direct hit. We're not going to go for a full clear. We're not particularly troubled with the top floor. Just smoke it off and get on in. With Liquid banning both of these shields, you have to expect either a Blackbeard or a Blitz, a Blackbeard or a Fuse shield more often than not. The Fuse shield does not work most of the time, and this is, while it is a map that Fuse can actually find some value on, one of the most powerful bomb sites that he tends to work towards is that bottom floor bomb site, which is not seen as often as it did in the past. w7m will bring a Blackbeard this time around, and even if the bomb site isn't on the basement, Lenda will be lurking down there on the Solus. There's an operator that we talked about on Layer, Jesse. Received a couple buffs. How will Solus do here on Chalet? He has the first kill. Down goes Dodez. A slingshot in from Volps, hoping to take advantage of the melee, of the carnage. Doesn't find a kill. Diaz goes down at the hands of Dots, and we're just a minute into the action, and both teams already coming to very early blows.
Yeah, you can tell the pace w7m want to set, right? They're happy to take these fights early, and with this position, why wouldn't you? Great control inside of Solar, gets them the man advantage, and leaves Maya and Nesk left alone in the 2v3.
Liquid battling from behind yet again, and now Nesk will have to reposition himself towards that bathroom door as he's flashed out. Diffuser for the second time in a row, successfully planted by w7m. Maya evens things up and then gives his team the leg up. Now it's Palu in the revenge match, and he finds both of them. A dish best served cold, they say, for revenge. Chalet's the coldest map in the pool. w7m off to a 2-0 start.
And a really nice couple of rushes to start us off here from w7m. And they're not rushes for no reason, right? These are not just being called because, let's go for a rush, why not? They're really doing a great job, I think, of assessing the defensive setup from Team Liquid and then reacting to it appropriately. Two players in the basement at the start of that round, both Maya and Lenda, playing over towards Snowmobile Garage, which, you know, usually that would be fine, but the bomb site is top floor. Those players are very far from the site. When Volps eventually uses that Gara hook, jumps into Solar at the same time, Dots jumps into the bathroom through the window, you start to really get worried for those site players. You're asking a lot from guys like Diaz who are sitting on the site. You're asking a lot from guys like Daffodil who are sitting on the site. And while they did a decent job there, we got a couple of kills on the side of Team Liquid. It just wasn't ever going to be enough. No pressure on that top floor, which is where the push was all coming through. So Really nice reads coming out from W7M, forces an extremely early tack timeout from Liquid after just 2 round losses on Chalet. This is their map pick, and they clearly came in with a strong game plan on defense, so maybe worried a little bit with just how those opening rounds went.
W7M can keep up this tempo, which is far from certain. Both Los and Nip started off strong on maps, and it didn't really have much of an overall impact on the remainder of that map, as those gaps can close so quickly between teams. But if W7M can keep this up, we might be in for a relatively fast series. With this being Team Liquid's map, it stands to reason that W7M would start on the favorable side. On a map like Chalet, which has always been favorable to the attackers, it surprises me very little that they would opt to go here. In SAL, it sits as the 3rd most played map so far this stage. Trails both Bank and Lair, maps that we saw played in the earlier competition between Los and Ninjas in Pajamas. And it actually is a touch defender favored, Jesse. 52% of the rounds. But with that number being 52%, still not a huge advantage. So a 3-3 half is possible. Operator bans can knock it into 5-1 or 4-2 territory. We'll see how it plays out. A default cam left up by W7M is not a great sign, and well, it looked like Lenda would take advantage of that, but Palu is there to shut down the Liquid aggression, and Palu starts off 5-0.
Nice little stop there. That's the Soulless buff coming into effect as well. You can't do that without the impacts, although I'm not sure if it really worked in the Soulless's favor this time around. It's okay. Still got to start things off strong for W7M. And I mean, for Team Liquid, the walls are starting to close in very early in this round 3 as well. Loban's taken a surprising amount of map control, already pressuring into the dining hallway here as he's got player behind the reinforcement in his sights. His teammates are all working through the top floor as we speak, doing their best to enter the map, try to find some kind of entry point. Loban not really in a position where he's likely to face much pressure. There's no reason for Liquid to return to the site down blue or anything yet. They know that the pressure they're facing is largely around Solar, so they will be happy to sit here on the top floor and allow W7M to waste their own time. Given that it's been 90 seconds and W7M are still not really entering into the top floor, I do wonder if at some point they're just going to make the call like, hey, top's not going to be ours, we got to go hit the site.
A lot of good intel here being gleaned from W7M. That's Solus going 0-3, Lenda on that roll. The support, the 2 newest players of Team Liquid in both Daffodil and Lenda having a rough start, combining for 0 kills through these 3 rounds. Still time for Daffo to get on the board, as W7M will now creep up, trying to play off of the information, and there is Daffo's first kill spoken into existence. Loban hunting down those defenders, logic bombs giving their positions away. Daffo's spot by the Dora bathroom is now known to W7M, but they cannot get bogged down trying to take him out. There is a job to be done in the next 35 seconds, and Volps did not get that memo, Jesse.
Now this is kind of a desperation, right? Top floor is not even going to be under your control. They do get 1 back, but the time is really bad, Parker. They have to get to the site and plant in 20 seconds, and there's 2 very strong anchors sitting down there.
Liquid still battling from behind, a very familiar spot. They've been in this predicament every round. It will get worse. Diaz brought over from Brazil to NA. Now back to Brazil he goes. He's found a single kill, and that'll be all he gets. Palu, another great exit round. Palu involved in all 3 of the closing kills to seal the first quarter of this matchup. And W7M says, you can take your time out. It's not going to change anything at all. This is still our side. Perfect through 3 rounds on the side of the Bulls.
Palu has played 19 international events in a Team Liquid jersey, spent by far the majority of his career on that organization. Left the team at the start of this season, went over to W7M instead. A huge, shocking move to the community to see him move off of Liquid after he had repped that jersey for so many years. The separation of Nesk and Palu was mourned across the world. But now it feels like he's hitting his stride. He's finding almost more success beating Team Liquid than he ever found playing with them. Having a great start to this half, 7-0 here on Chalet. And, you know, it's been a while since he left Team Liquid now. The season is towards the back half. So I'm not sure if there's a huge amount of information, especially with the roster moves they've made, that he's been able to glean from them. But it does feel like he's pretty tapped into what Liquid want to do on a macro sense, right? It feels like he's got a really good read on where these players are going to be, what they're trying to do at different parts of the round, and has had a really almost easy looking time here on Chalet, patching them off guard and punishing from that. It's not easy, but the way he does it, it makes it look easy.
5 seconds to insertion.
This W7M team is chock full of talent. Both of these squads have an abundance of talent. It's just about realizing that and putting it into action. W7M's road here has been a little similar to what Liquid has. They finished 2 points apart in the group stages. FaZe Clan and W7M tied for third with 19 points. Team Liquid was just 2 points behind in 5th place. Both of them getting 0-2'd to get to this point. Team Liquid, mind you, got here through the upper bracket quarterfinals, whereas it was the upper bracket semis for W7M. They toppled Los 2-0 and then got punched down by Furia. Team Liquid lost to FaZe Clan and have been sitting and waiting since that October 11th match to get to this point. Far less of an adjustment, I feel like, for this roster on the side of W7M, though, Jesse, and they are looking so comfortable. Dafo had a great round previously to keep Liquid close. It still was not enough. He's punished by an early death at the hands of W7M.
And that's the roaming smoke you take off the board, too. 3 Toxic Babes in pocket. I'm always fine with a roaming smoke. I don't mind seeing a smoke play aggressive, but dying with all 3 Toxic Babes is never a good sign. Wasn't really able to waste any time off the clock. So that's a big loss for Team Liquid, especially when you think Daffodil very easily could have made it back towards the bomb site. He chose to gamble, chose to stick around, and got slammed because of that decision. Can't take risks against a team like W7M. They are incredibly good at what they do, and Daffodil maybe not be so used to this level of play, but he's finding out exactly how good this top level of Siege really is. Not an easy round still from Team Liquid. Playing this bottom floor site with the man advantage. W7M are starting to pressure quite heavily. They're looking to these blue stairs and eventually the snowmobile garage.
Nesk now using the information gleaned off of Lenda's shield play. Looked like he was going to come into action on these blue stairs, but is held at bay. And now an air jab will go down, so tricky territory for Lenda, not able to push up without that air jab being shot away at. Paulu has kept them in place. Yoda's missing an opportunity to take down Maya, as now it's a full assault on the bomb site. Not a lot of time left for W7M to work with. 3 players over on blue. Paulu finds Nesk and Maya as well. 10-0 for Paulu as down goes Lenda. What a heater Paulu is on, and on an 11th kill, he's all smiles. 11-0 against his former team. You're hard-pressed to find a better start than that. W7M not slowing down at all. They have not allowed Liquid anything in this match.
And that'll be an offensive world tour. W7M winning all 4 bomb sites on Chalet. Liquid going back to the site that teams don't play very often anymore in the basement. And it's kind of a clown car over towards Blue Stairs, Parker. 3 players in the end there rushed towards Paulu just to try to stop that second dimension through the push. They knew the plant was coming down kind of on the garage side, right? That's going to be where the kit goes down every day of the week. It's just one player play the top of blue. That's Paulu, but they think he's such a threat that they throw nearly their entire team at him, and he says, "I will eat that up. Thank you very much." A ridiculous round coming out from Paulu now. I mean, you said it, 11-0, fragging more than his entire team combined. It's just a ridiculous start to come through from him. And Team Liquid, they got to find an answer to this guy. I mean, you tried ignoring him earlier on in this matchup. You didn't find much success there. Now you tried throwing as many bodies as you could at him. That certainly didn't work. So what's the solution at this point against Paulu?
Jesse, here's an incredible statistic. If you look at all of Team Liquid and you add them all together, they have 8 kills. If you don't count Paulu, the rest of W7M has 9 kills. Paulu has 11 kills. So no matter how you look at it, no matter how you squeeze it, W7M are dominating in the fragging department. Team Liquid is currently averaging 2 kills a round. There has been no flawless round. It's not like there were 2 flawless rounds to skew these numbers. Team Liquid is getting on the board every round. They're just barely doing so. Domination is a word that doesn't really go to show just how good this W7M team has been on this attacking side. Now, obviously, Team Liquid can get them to, slam the brakes on this when the side swap comes in, but there's very little good for Liquid through this first map. Nesk will die at the hands of Loban. W7M drawing blood again for the first time in this round. I don't know what you do at this point. Nesk is 1-5, Lenda 0-4. Yeah, these are 2 players that aren't necessarily tasked with getting a lot of kills, but I don't know what you're going to do. There's just nothing that's slowing down W7M. There goes Daffodil. Blackbeard and Dots just off to the races. Jesse, this is a mess for Liquid.
Again, Diaz is left all alone here on the site, battling everybody on the side of W7M. He does his best, but eventually taken down. Lenda alone in the 1v4, trying to return to the site, but no hope with the pace that W7M have been setting. It's been a fast game coming through from them, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 rounds. They have been going lightning quick in this matchup, and it's always catching Team Liquid off guard. They burned their attack timeout after round 2. Don't forget that. But it provided 0 difference in the results of the rounds, and it just feels like at this point the ball is rolling. The game is lost. Like, it almost feels like for Team Liquid, we're looking at map 2 already, and the game just started.
To locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
W7M was just sitting there watching the low snip game, thinking to themselves, oh my God, I want to be done with this. And then they said, what if we just crush Team Liquid? Do any of you guys want to go out for dinner? Maybe. What time does the restaurant close at? And Paulu was like, I'm really hungry. And they're like, well, the restaurants might be closed. And he said, I will then eat Liquid. And that is what he's doing. Paulu didn't even get a single kill in that round, by the way. Paulu entered the round with 11 kills. He exited the round with 11 kills. Didn't die. Paulu has not died. We are almost at the halfway point of this map, and Paulu has yet to die.
Bit of a fall off, not getting 1 kill last round. He's got to step it up.
I know that talking up Paulu at the moment is fruit hanging so low that even you could pick it.
All right.
But it still needs to be mentioned. Now he's playing Ying. Not only a fragger, but also a high-value utility.
Paulu's always been a great player when it comes to the util. You know, he can frag, of course. He's exceptionally talented, but he's always played kind of these support flex roles. He's a good player who thrives late in the round. One of the best clutch players that we see. Sometimes he gets accused of being a bit of a baiter, but I honestly think it's his play style and it's what his team requires of him in so many situations. We'll have to see how this last round of the half goes. The half has flown by. No more double basement roam from Team Liquid. They've got a much more condensed defense here on the top floor. I like that change, but it does feel like the information is all going away with W7M. Seemingly we're aware of the player ratting and solar. DS has gotten out now, so it's not something to worry about any longer. More positions that are just getting cleared out by for Team Liquid, where they can't play those spots anymore. And since you don't have any roamers down below the bomb site or even all the way down in the basement, the site's going to start getting a little bit crowded. You don't have a whole lot of map to move around in.
Chalet is a small map, and I mean, I think part of that is what makes it so good for the attackers, is that the defenders are often trapped in positions where they have to fight their way out, and just based on utility and gunplay, the attackers have a decided advantage. W7M with 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock, Jesse, still have almost full utility, minus a couple frag grenades. It looks like they're finally going to use it all. As the advance comes towards the back of the bomb site, Solarium, that big bedroom window, bathroom window, gas goes out in response. A C4 is well tossed by Team Liquid. W7M have loved these opening duels. With the exception of round 2, they've struck first every single time. They need to secure Maya if they want that number to continue going up. Dots will find him. Dota is still outside. Desperate times for Team Liquid. Potentially a window jump out. That's what W7M is waiting for. Dodos goes down at the hands of Nesk, who finds his second kill. Gaffo on the board now as well. And Team Liquid with a rarity. They have a numbers advantage, Jesse.
The fuse kit's been down, but it should be able to get picked up nice and easily. Volp's a beautiful shot onto Diaz, and he can now go for a plant swap, Parker.
Nesk with another, now a vault out to try and rotate towards the window. He's caught looking. Volps and Palu, the two former members, as Palu now gets on the board. Daffo, last one standing. Taking some damage from Palu on the window. He changes his position. 13-0 for Palu to finish the first half. The man will not fucking die. What is happening in this game?
I don't even know words, Parker. You just have to laugh at a performance like this, especially the circumstances. Palu, one of the longest standing members on Team Liquid, goes to W7M, and now in the most important BO3 that they have played since the swap, he's just crushing his old team. And I mean, for Team Liquid, they have no answers to this. Like, they're making a lot of really basic mistakes. You go back to that last round, Maya is dead with 2 toxic babes in his pocket. Diaz dead with a deployable shield in his pocket. Like, these are prep phase gadgets that need to be put down, and they're not being placed out. Whether that's because this team is just so flustered with the 6-0 start that they've been dealt, whether that's because Diaz is trying to make some kind of a rat play early in Solar. I know he was going to get aggressive there, but like, these are the small things that can turn into a big advantage for W7M, even when you have the man counts. W7M seemingly are able to outgun their way out of bad situations, and you maybe have some kind of a lead. There's going to be somebody there to shoot you in the face and turn that lead right back against you. W7M playing lights out right now, completely flawless, and Team Liquid, I mean, far from a flawless game from them.
Bomb located by attackers.
W7M.
Camera feed up and running.
Up 6-0 on Team Liquid's map,
10 seconds
and I
left
stand
before
corrected.
insertion.
Palu is 14-0.
5 seconds to go.
What more is there to say at this point?
Yeah.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
What is his EPS right now? I have to wonder. It's got to be ridiculous.
247.
Oh my God. That might be a record. I don't have the full stats, unfortunately, in front of me, but
147.
if he keeps that up, that's insane.
Volp's almost getting an opening pick now here in what has gone from a fun map to Team Liquid's funeral on Chalet.
Activating shock drone.
I say, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
This is a pretty beautiful place to have a funeral. I wouldn't mind my funeral being in the French Alps like this. It's
How
gorgeous.
do you dig a grave in frozen ground?
Well,
You go from
get
solid
Palu
to
do it.
liquid to gas. And it's liquid who's currently evaporating as they change their state in front of our very eyes. We went from one of the best of threes I think we've seen in eternity to one of the most lopsided maps we have seen that doesn't involve a team that ends in cruelty.
Literally, I think this is the most lopsided game that we have casted all season. And the last game was the closest game we've casted all season. They're literally happening back to back. That's insane.
Such is the duality of Rainbow Six Siege, baby. That's what makes this game so damn good. No 2 rounds are the same. No 2 series are the same. The question I have to ask now is, does Palu die? If this is a 7-0, he might go through map 1 without dying. Talk about a revenge game. I don't know if there's bad blood between these players. I know that Volp's left under maybe not the best of terms, but I don't know about Palu. Loban feeding Team Liquid an early death. Not 1 but 2. Daffodil and Maya both punished. Loban's still on this position, but he doesn't care, Jesse. Now
Somebody
it's
tell Team
Diaz
Liquid it
down.
started. Oh boy. 50 seconds, and I mean, what do you do from this point? Another kill in the window. The Captain Lenda alone. 1v5 without a kill to his name, and he won't get even one. Parker, a flawless round ends the first map. Liquid's pick, and it's a 7-0 for W7M.
I have fewer words than Liquid got rounds. I don't even know what to say. You spend this whole time hyping up a best of 3 at this point, and Liquid puts in their worst performance of this entire stage, potentially even this season, Jesse, up against w7m. Any advantage that you would have on your map in a best of 3 series is gone, completely gone. Respectfully, I think enough was said in that matchup. Let's go to commercials. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
You know how they say it's not the destination, it's the journey?
And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you know what?
They're right.
Keep an eye out for contact.
Available now. Yes!
With all those incredibly close maps we've had so far, w7m said, no thank you, we're having none of that, and 7-0'd this first map, and it wasn't even their map pick. What a crazy game to witness here, and Palu going, what was it eventually, 14-0 fresh against his former teammate? We've seen it all.
Yeah, you just couldn't write it, could you? He was absolutely phenomenal. He was everywhere. He was getting involved in everything, and he was just getting a crazy amount of kills. You know, it was like, it was covering of plants going down. He was playing the Ying. We saw him on the Ying on the master window. He was playing absolutely all sorts. Big killers we're seeing in the highlight here. Literally winning his team the round. Obviously, he got 14 kills. Like, I don't know. Like, when you need a player to turn up, when you need your new star player to turn up, this is the game to do it, and by God, did Palu do it.
Oh, and I think I have one round that summarizes everything for me. It's the round where they attack on garage. Palu is single-handedly holding blue stairs with Nomad, and they send for, I don't know which reason, they think that retaking blue stairs is the right idea. And just before they execute, they make the call, okay, let's all commit to killing the blue stairs player. It's not worth it. They go all of them, one by one, get stuck in the air jab. Palu gets a 4K, and by then, he already had multiple multi-kills. He had a 1v2 clutch, a 3K, a 4K, and another 3K. 14-0, 100% cost, obviously. EPS of 210 here. which is basically worth 2 players. So it's like if they played 6v5, and most importantly, if you look on the left side of your screen, one player is in 0 and 7 with a 23 EPS, which means that technically, if you add all the EPS, it was a 7 versus 3.
So Paulo is like 10 Lindas.
Oh dear. Yeah. I mean, yeah, EPS, expensive player score, 100 is your average player. So Palu is 2.1 times the average player inside the lobby. I mean, I don't think I've seen an MVP graphic better than this in a long time. Like, you know, positive on the entry, 100% cost, 100% survival rate in a, you know, 2KD in a 7-0 get. Like, wow, what a performance.
I think what's even crazier is that we just went from the closest game we've seen in a long time,
Yeah.
3 maps overtime, almost overtime, max overtime every single time, all the way to hyping Team Liquid and w7m to be one banger of a match with 2 teams that are looking really good. And here comes Liquid there with their classic inconsistency. It's crazy. You can go from a Liquid that is a couple of rounds away from beating FaZe and that is upsetting everyone, to a Team Liquid that just shows up on the day and cannot adapt for nothing. That's my main worry. I did not see a single adaptation on their side. Nest played the same operator 5 rounds out of 6. Lenda played solid 3 rounds in a row with 0 impact. You know, I just played Wall Denial 4 rounds out of 6 as well. Where is the adaptation on the setup? Where is the trap operator? Where is something that will control a little bit more the aggression of w7m?
Yeah.
Nothing to slow them down. Just 2 poor Fenrir. That's it. That's all I saw. I needed to see more of that adaptation.
Yeah, I think that's the main worrying thing. It's all fun and giggles and stuff like, oh, 7-0. But this was Liquid's map pick, and like you said, there was no adaptation that we're seeing from this roster so far at all. And that is a really worrying prospect for when we're going to the second map. Now, I would love to hear some numbers on Nighthaven Labs in specific for both w7m, but also for Liquid, because if they do really want to make it back into the series, they gotta give us something on this upcoming map.
Yeah, I guess, you know, mental reset, right? Whether you lose 7-0, whether you lose 8-7, it's the same thing. You lost the first map, that's fine. You can completely reset. The most important thing is the change of pace. If you could not bring it in the game of Chalet, now you do it on the game of Nighthaven Labs. You're in control. You have a different starting side. They're gonna go and start defense here. Maybe there's something that they can do. Surely they knew that if they left Labs open, w7m would pick it. w7m already said it in interview blatantly. It's their #1 map preference. So
Yeah.
surely Liquid is coming in here with a full week of preparation and with counter strats. And so I'm hoping that at least here they have some kind of control on the pacing and on the tactics of the game.
I think maybe they should. You know, you said about a keyword that you said, Leo, there was adaptation for Liquid, and there was a serious lack of adaptation in Chalet. Now, Chalet is a very fluid map. It's quite an explosive map. You can be very creative, whereas when you get onto Nighthaven, it's a little bit more rigid. It still relies on you breaching, and then it's kind of full clear, set up the perfect conditions for a plant. So Liquid, at least, even if it's not their map pick, even if w7m do love it, take all that aside, they should be able to get a better read on what w7m are doing and therefore adapt accordingly.
We hope so. I mean, with this 7-0, we can really hope that Liquid shows anything on the second map to keep their hopes and dreams of making it to the major alive, because it's kind of crazy that we're speaking of these two. I mean, some people call them some of the greatest players that have ever touched this game. Nesk and Palu, one of them won't make it to a major, and regardless of how crazy that first map was, Jesse, the fact that either Nesk or Palu is not going to make it in the end is just a crazy, like a weird thought to have.
Yeah, I mean, it's been ridiculous, the careers that the two of them have had, the vast majority of which have been together. I mean, Nesk in particular, not winning anything since Pro League Season 7, all the way back in the day. I mean, you gotta wonder with Team Liquid on this seemingly slide, what's in the future for him? We can only speculate. I'm certain this is going to be a game where he has to dig deep and bring his team back into it. There was no real bright spot for Liquid in map 1, so you kind of need the veteran to step up and provide that for the team.
Yeah, you're hoping to see that. I saw in Terry, you put your glasses on. Things are getting serious. You know, a lot of emotions from you tonight, but I hope he gets to see some more on this one, though. Can Liquid bounce back? Can they keep themselves alive for the major spot, or will w7m close it into? We're going back to Nighthaven Labs.
Well, it's game time, Anne. That's why the glasses are on. It's time to dial in just as Liquid so desperately needs to. They were not able to do that in the previous map. and we get to Nighthaven Labs in a hurry. A 7-0 victory in Brazil is almost unheard of with how competitive this region is, and yet here we are. And not only does it happen in a playoff match, but it happens on the Zeros side map of that 7-0. I mean, maybe w7m 7-0ing on their own map, I could understand that, but Jesse, there is really no excuse for what we saw from Liquid in map number 1. There's a lot we can talk about involving that map, but let's immediately move on to Nighthaven Labs, because as I'm sure Team Liquid is soon to forget map number 1, we should be as well. What are your expectations now here on Labs after you've seen the operator bands dialed in?
Well, Parker, my expectations are that it might be kind of tough to get the walls open. Ace and Habana both being banned out means that mirror tricking is going to be exceptionally powerful. Some bandit tricks could come out later as well. Dots will try to jump on the Maverick to minimize those threats, but it's always scary when you combine a mirror window with some C4s. It's also just not a great map, I think, matching up for Team Liquid. Now, it should be stated, Leo mentioned it before the game started, but I'll repeat him. These two teams played a game on Nighthaven Labs just 2 weeks ago. That was in Copa Sul Americana, and that was an 8-7 victory for Liquid. So they have a history of beating w7m on this map, even if it was in a Tier 2 tournament context. The problem is w7m have played this map 7 times this season, and that 8-7 was the only time that they lost it. They are an extremely good team on Nighthaven Labs. They were on a 6-0 win streak before they lost that one game to Team Liquid. So you're going to have to really dig deep if you're TL. I would also guess, I didn't see that game in Copa Sul Americana, so I can't know for sure, but I would guess w7m probably weren't showing absolutely everything, knowing that there was a good chance they'd play Team Liquid in the playoffs.
There's a lot of Siege to watch. We've got T2 Siege as well going on right now. That's, I think it's Element 6 is the number it's up to, is going on. Nice to see new casters casting. Nice to see new teams playing. Some familiar faces as well. I know people will be recognizing players like Spiff, Skies, Geo. I believe Wimpy is playing in it as well. These are all former pros. You've also got the regional finals coming up. The Spoitvitational was announced as well for Tier 2 teams. It'll be a great event for people to actually get LAN experience, not competing at a Tier 1 level. You've got obviously the thing here in Brazil that you just mentioned that I would never want to pronounce lest I screw it up. Lots of Siege happening, and then of course we've got the Munich Major in just a couple weeks' time, for which one of these two teams will be the final one qualified. w7m obviously off to a great start, but Team Liquid could close this gap if they perform well here on Labs.
This first round will be very telling. This top floor on Nighthaven is very strong. Most teams would tell you it's the best bomb site on the map. So if Team Liquid can't win this one, we may be looking at another 7-0. Won't say it before it happens, though. This is still a good round, I think, for Liquid. They've been able to slow things down. The IT wall was a really tough thing to open up for w7m. It took them a long time even to get angles into it. And now getting into electrical is no fun either. Hopping in that window is absolutely miserable. Dotez is in, but it's even still tough to progress past there.
Liquid starting off strong. Lenda does something he was unable to do in the very first series, and that's get an opening pick. Dafo and Diaz also on the board, and w7m might now be on the wrong side of a flawless start. Palu went the entire first map without dying. Not a single soul on w7m will be able to say that now through this series, as Liquid wins a flawless first round on w7m's map. And here's something that's not going to show up inside of the server, but we see it on the player cams, Jesse. There were good looks on all of those Team Liquid players' faces. They were laughing. They were in good spirits. That is excellent, because the last thing you want is to see a defeated and upset Team Liquid on your screens.
Yeah, if there's going to be anything that kills Liquid in this game, at least at the start when they're on defense, it's going to be the vibes. And so the fact that those are good is a huge green flag for Team Liquid. I honestly really like the way they played these operator bans. It's nothing revolutionary. Ace and Habana are the most commonly banned pair of operators on Nighthaven, but even still, it makes that IT wall such a nightmare to try to open up. IT important for, frankly, all 3 bomb sites. Maybe less so for the basements, but they clearly think it's important enough to reinforce as they are roaming up here. So expect to see that wall really be a focal point for both teams as this game goes on. W7M, again, I just think struggling with how long it took to get inside the map, get that control that they had in the previous round. And it was nice to see some big pop-off frags from Diaz as well. For what little silver lining there was on Chalet, Diaz was the highest rated player on Team Liquid. He got 3 kills across 7 rounds in the first map, which was enough to top frag his team. He gets a triple kill in the first round on Night Haven Labs. So I think a much brighter sign for the guy who's been the best player tonight on Liquid.
It's not exactly been a competition for that role, so. W7M suffered flawlessly in that first round, and now Loban is on the board, so they've already gotten to a good spot, and Dots is inside the bomb site in 37 seconds. I don't know if that's a record, because we saw a quick pace set on many of those Chalet takes, but boy, oh boy, are they doing a good job here now. Diaz under fire as he collects 3 kills from the first round, looking to pad to that. He tossed out his Nitro Cell. It does not find a target. Maya eliminates Volps, but is traded right back by Dodez. W7M have their claws in this bomb site, and Liquid will have to pry them off of them. Really not certain why we're not seeing a defuse plant go down. It took about 30 seconds. I think they're just waiting out the explosives, and they will do just that. Down goes Diaz. Diffuser now starting the plant process as Lendez in a 1v4, and he dies in the hands of Dodez. What on earth is this match? W7M answer back, tie things up. That's more like it. W7M.
Very good things to start off now with the second round. That looks like what we saw a lot of on Chalet. And listen, good things tend to happen when Dots picks Blackbeard. It's his most played operator this stage. And before Chalet, he had a 79% win rate on the Blackbeard, or at least W7M did when he was on the Blackbeard. That'll be even higher because he got a couple of round wins on Chalet with that operator as well. So north of 80%, I'd have to say. Another one will be added to the tally with a great little basement rush that comes through. And a round like that, I mean, there's so much pressure that gets put on the opening pick, you know, and we saw that coming through. I believe it was Daffodil that was playing top of Cargo and just didn't quite have the shots to hit the player jumping in behind the Blackbeard. He did his best, but just couldn't quite land it. So with Daffodil going down, the space was taken. Team Liquid, by now, they must be used to the rushes. They've got to be learning to expect those because we've seen so many from W7M, but expecting a rush and countering a rush are two very different things.
As we see from time to time, just because you know it's going to happen doesn't mean you are prepared for it. It also doesn't mean you know how to handle it, right? Mm-hmm. Success is when opportunity and preparation meet, and you need both of them. Team Liquid have not exactly had anything close to that through this series. It is a best of 3 though, so there is plenty of time for Liquid to get back in this. They had a triumphant start on W7M's map. Liquid will presumably ride the better side because it's not their map. They get to choose where they go. That means if they can run up the score here, they'll be in good shape for the second half. W7M though, their goal is to just keep this close. They struggled on entry on round number 1. They will struggle on entry on round number 3 as Paul, who finished map 1 14-0, will now start without a kill through 3 rounds.
A little surprising. He had, of course, been opening up the connector wall from outside the building, and he didn't enter the building when he died. So Maya, just a little swing in around that meeting hall was good enough to get that frag. A little bit of a run out even, it might have been, through that top lobby door. So good aggressive play to come through from Maya. He's been the best player on Liquid this stage by a mile. He's been exceptional for this team. Didn't really see him in map 1, but expect him to pop off and have some big moments through the rest of this map. Floor clear getting underway now, but as they drone it out, it seems like everybody has gone home on the side of Team Liquid, so they will simply take it for free.
Loban creeping up now, and he finds them looking in the wrong direction. Almost a spray transfer over to Maya. He needed the premonition of Maya's position, but wasn't able to do much given his situation. Liquid with a numbers advantage still, but an opening pick was needed. They will find it with a minute to go. Team Liquid can sit quite pretty. W7M has waded their way through the top floor, opened most things up, but have they accounted for Diaz here, Jesse? He's still alive and might actually be able to do some serious damage, taking Volps down and turning around, getting Dodez as well. Dots on an island. Shipwrecked. Surrounded by troubled waters. Down goes Daffo, forcing a fight with the Blackbeard. Liquid, though, in a great spot with 30 seconds left. All they need to do is find this final player, Jesse.
Surely this plant will not be successful. It'd be a massive toss. He is forced off of it and loses his head to a big shot from Nesk. Easy little closeout after the hard work was done by Diaz on that huge flank, swapping around to that secondary or that primary shotgun as well in the midst of that. Diaz, maybe one of the best SAS players in the entire world, was exceptional with those roles back when he was in North America on M80 and of course on XSET as well. Diaz's best performance ever in an official tournament actually came the last time we went to Germany at the Berlin Major, where he got top 4 playing on XSET alongside Kino, Gomez, Spirits, and Yaga. Going back to that country, trying to make another run with his new team, playing in a new region would be a big moment for him in his career, as I don't think his swap down to South America has been as successful as he might have hoped.
No, and now a timeout being taken early on by W7M. I'm not sure why W7M are taking this, right? They're on the wrong side of Nighthaven Labs. It's their map, and yet they're burning a timeout after round number 3. I'm a bit curious. This is where things we don't hear play a very big role, right? I'm imagining that the coaching staff on the side of W7M are hearing things that are causing concern that they feel won't be figured out without stepping in. So they intervene, they involve themselves. Maybe they settle these players down and screw their heads on straight. After winning a 7-0 in map 1, there might be a lack of discipline and a bit of looseness to W7M that needs to be addressed, because Liquid are showing up much more and are having better looks against the W7M fraggers. That could be it, Jesse. I don't know if there's someone else you think might be a problem here.
I have a guess, and I'm just a dumb stats guy, so this could be wrong, but here's my thinking on it. Team Liquid ban out the Ace and the Habana, and it ends up being a huge problem in round number 1 for W7M, right? They really cannot get the IT wall open. So long just trying to get into IT, trying to get into electrical, and round 1 really was a disaster of a push. Possible that coming into this game, W7M weren't expecting those operator bans, or maybe expecting a different set of bans, perhaps based on the last time they played Liquid here on Nighthaven, and then didn't really have a good answer, even after a couple rounds of thinking about it, on how to deal with that problem. You can see it still being played with Liquid. They've got the mirror window on the IT wall. They're going to be playing it with impacts or a C4 to try to cause chaos and cause some problems. It might have just been an opportunity for W7M to say, okay, we didn't have a great game plan on how to attack this top floor last time. This is our time to sit and think about it. This is going to be the best use of our attack timeout, because maybe they just felt if they went into it raw without taking a moment to talk about it, they just wouldn't have a good game plan and would have to struggle through it once again.
Anything to kickstart an offense now? As you see, this Maverick as a necessity due to the double hard breach ban that you talked about early on. I mean, we've been focusing a bit more on bans in the cut and thrust of these rounds, Jesse, because there's a bit of a habit on my end to just reference the bans 1 or 2 times and then move on, but the bans don't change. Ace and Hibana will continue to have a or the lack thereof will continue to have a profound impact on all of the rounds on attack. W7M are definitely struggling with getting in. Now, good news is that Maverick is able to cut those sheets of metal down and provide you with some soft destruction that can open things up, but I mean, W7M are going to have to deal with only Thermite, Maverick, and the secondary hard breach gadgets available for this round and the 2 beyond. Things are not going to just magically get easier.
Yeah, and to be clear, like when you put the mirror window on the IT wall, it makes it so that Mavericking is really dangerous, because at any point you could get shot from the window, you could get tossed out with a nitro cell. It's the same reason why the can openers or a thermite are so dangerous. That's the reason why you would ban the ranged hard breachers and then play the mirror window there. Common strategy that we see here in tier 1, but you don't really see it in ranked too often, so maybe something that not all viewers would be familiar with. W7M seemingly familiar enough that they've done a decent job from what I could tell of getting the IT wall open. The push does look very similar to the last time they were here though, Parker.
Nitro cell goes out by Diaz, and again, W7M bogged down on these entries. Team Liquid very smartly using these operator bans and now using a stifling forward defense to prevent w7m from really gaining any considerable control in this map. Down goes Palu at the hands of Lenda, and Liquid are just toying with their food at this point. Another flawless round for Liquid. They started off this map with a flawless. They will do it again in round 4. W7M's timeout doing almost nothing at this point.
Yeah, I was really hopeful that we would see them come in with like a new strategy, maybe a heavy focus over towards Aqua or Meeting Hall, or maybe some play down below. But I didn't see a whole lot going differently in that round compared to what we saw back in round number 1. They did have the Monty, which was new, and Volps did try to go Aqua stairs with that Monty to try to make some space, but ended up just getting flattened by one of the players on Team Liquid. Might have been Daffodil. Once he goes down, the rest of your push is looking much the same. They had Yings, they had Glaz, but it just wasn't really finding the impact that they were hoping that it would. Think of attack timeout not going the way that they wanted it to. The rest of this map, I think, should be a lot easier for W7M, is the one thing I'll say. Just given what the operator bans are, and given how Team Liquid are quite strong when it comes to Nighthaven defenses, I think that top floor is always going to be the most difficult part of the map to attack. You won't have to go there until, I would guess, round 14, assuming that W7M shows defensive start side in overtime. So you don't have to worry about it for a very long time. And if you get to round 14, well, more things have gone around or have gone wrong than just that.
Solus now appearing on, is this map number 3? Is this map number 4? So, I mean, I guess we have our answer here. The buffs have obviously worked, and an operator that was absent from a lot of teams' kits is now suddenly coming back into the fold. The devs had hoped that the changes to the Specchio sensor and the addition of impact grenades would put Solus in a healthier place. I think there was a general consensus as Solus was very strong when she was first released, and there was that holy triumvirate of defenders that were just so miserable to play against. Solus, Fenrir, and Azami just escaping nerfs for a long period of time. Azami got a nerf, but it didn't really affect her pick rate all that much. But Solus and Fenrir were basically put in the ground. Solus in particular was hit with not 1, not 2, not 3, but even 4 nerf sticks very quickly. Basically every part of her kit was worsened.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a bit too much. The devs acknowledge that, and Solus is now very much back in the fold. Whether you liked playing with her or against her, doesn't really matter. She is here, and we will watch this operator with great interest moving forward.
I just looked it up, by the way. In the South America League prior to today, Solus had the lowest win rate of any defender, 37% across 30 different rounds, which is kind of ridiculous to see from an op that used to dominate this game.
Yeah, I mean, she was very oppressive, right? And I mean, shields are still oppressive in a certain way, but they definitely have weaknesses from where they were before. The problem was that Solus really didn't have a major weakness. They took away her biggest asset, which I think was getting rid of the drones in the prep phase. That was the real sticking point for a lot of people, as that she could use her gadget. And I mean, you'd spawn in at that point, you'd already lost half of your drones. It really did not feel very fun to play against. We are monologuing, if people are wondering, because almost nothing has happened at this point. 1 minute left to go, and W7M bashing their heads against the wall that is Team Liquid for yet another round. These hard breach bans really impacting the ability to take up map control for W7M.
Yeah, this is awkward, though. Without control of storage, they're going to have to find some way to get this plant down. They want to do it under both smoke and the shield, but if Maya can hit the toes, this is going to be a successful denial of the plant. There's really no pressure on him at the moment.
Gunfire from above, trying to find this defuse kit. It is found by Dots. Dota's falling as well, and Team Liquid have themselves a great spot to go up 4-1. It seemed almost unheard of that Team Liquid would be this competitive after the mercy killing that was map number 1. Diaz is fantastic, Jesse. Completely blinded. He still finds the 10th kill. Doing his best Palu impression here on Nighthaven Labs, and off to a screaming start for the Horsemen as a 5-1 first half is still in the cards.
A little 4K coming out from the North American import. Very nice stuff coming out from Diaz. Top 10 player in the SAL before today's play day. And again, maybe didn't have the best first map. Nobody on Liquid did, but has been instrumental in mounting this 4-1 lead for Team Liquid
Attackers
on
need to locate
Nighthaven.
and defuse bombs.
Just an incredibly reliable anchor, an incredibly good late round player. I thought it was a really interesting swap when they first brought him onto the team, Team Liquid, right? They dropped Palu and picked up Diaz, and Diaz really moved into Palu's role. Both players famous for how good they are in the late round, famous for clutching things up, but Diaz maybe a little bit more passive with it, a little bit more support oriented, whereas Palu was a little bit more frag oriented. I liked the move when it first happened. Hasn't had the most amount of success for Liquid through the first stage, but I mean, if he can step up big for Team Liquid in this match right here, qualify for the major, make Team Liquid a top 4 team in Brazil once again, then I think it'll be more than worth it.
To locate a bomb and defuse it.
I think Palu used up all of his magic in that very first matchup because he's only found a single kill so far. But again, I know we say it round after round, but we do really need to highlight how much these Ace and Hibana bans are hindering w7m. The defender bans from w7m are relatively standard. I don't think Liquid are surprised by them. But having to go at this map with either a Maverick or a Thatcher or a Thermite or necessarily bringing an attacker that has those side EMPs, it really does put the squeeze on your operator lineup. W7M is trying to avoid hard breach in general, right? They're trying to bring a frag lineup that does not live and die off of opening things up. You can bring a secondary can opener. Those are the secondary hard breach gadgets. Or you can bring a Maverick, but they're trying to avoid it. And playing into Team Liquid's hands by doing so, Jesse. Now a Thermite is being brought. The 2 former players of Team Liquid who had an incredible first map now find themselves combining for 2 and 9. Now it's Liquid getting the last laugh, or at least maybe an intermediary laugh, because Bank might still be needed if Liquid continue their winning ways here on W7M's pick.
Top floor roamers will fall off before any pressure really comes their way. It was Maya and Nesk playing up here, the entry duo, and they fall off with just over half the round still to go, conceding that space over W7M. Credit to W7M. I actually think in the second quarter, they've done a much better job of getting these walls open, but it just hasn't really changed the result too much, and it is still taking them time when they do get these walls opened up. IT was a relatively quick open this time around. It still doesn't seem to matter. Opening pick for Diaz, 11-1. The exact same flank he went on the last time they played this bomb site, by the way. It looks like he's going to get away with it once again, as W7M don't really have time to address him.
At this point of your W7M, you're just desperate for anything to go well. You called your timeout. You've really not been able to do too much beyond that. Both rounds won by Team Liquid, but maybe a good look for W7M as Dots gets the diffuser down and immediately gets out of there, as you saw some shotgun work from Liquid below to try and catch W7M in that vulnerable position. Nothing materializes, though. Dota is holding out this Liquid team from getting in ever closer, and they can easily swing. Liquid, though, will say swing. How about be swung? Do a 3v3. But Liquid don't really have much more beyond that. Now, these fruitless attempts to keep the numbers close, finding themselves with no success. I believe I said fruitless. I'll say it again. W7M manages to salvage the final round of the first half. It's about as good as they're going to get. A 4-2 scoreline for Liquid is where they need to be based on this map and based on it being W7M's pick. Now it's incumbent upon W7M to do the same or better. You do the same, you go to OT. You don't do better, Team Liquid could potentially win this in regulation.
That was a really cool round we just watched, Parker, because you could see the exact moment the call got made for W7M to not worry about the top floor and just go hit site. For a long time, Dotas was watching the flank. He was waiting for Diaz to come his way so he could take that gunfight, but on a dime, he turns tail, he starts sprinting towards the bomb site, and he ends up linking up with Dots, who, again, I think is maybe one of the best shield players in South America. His Blackbeard is absolutely incredible. He bounces the Toxic Babe off his shield, which means that there's no real way to deny that plant. Could have gone in with a second Toxic Babe if you're Daffodil, but not sure if he was aware the plant was actually going down. He had to play that so passive. He was so afraid of who might be coming his direction, and I think they just snuck that plant under the nose of Team Liquid before they really had a chance to react to it. nice call at the final round to at least get them a second round on the board. They can move over to their own defensive side now, and they will also be targeting the hard breachers. But instead of both the Ace and Habana, they go for the Ace and Thermite instead. What they'll be trying to do on this bomb site now is, instead of tricking with the Mira, which isn't possible because Liquid banned the Mira anyways, is they're going to be opening up the very top and bottom of the wall before they reinforce it, which is going to make it really annoying to try to Habana trick, which is generally how you'll see that IT wall get opened up if Ace and Thermite aren't on the board. Looks like DS is just going to do it with the Mavericks, but that'll be a little bit easier. But even still, since they did use the shotgun on the top and bottom of those IT walls, it's still going to be a little bit annoying to get that wall open.
W7M said, you know how much you made it suck for us? We're gonna make it suck for you. I mean, the ability, though, for Hibana to work in that fashion, something that I don't know if the devs, Jesse, have ever weighed in on, but seems like an unintended aspect of her gadget. It at least allows Maverick and Hibana to function in the same way. They're not going to be dedicated hard breachers here. They're gonna function as like a pseudo hard breacher to open things up, but you're gonna require a soft breacher to get you the rest of the way. I think Dots is stuck. I couldn't tell. He said something in chat, but it seems to be all good. No admins have said anything. Nothing's been told in our ears. And everybody from W7M is still playing.
Okay. Keep an eye on him. If he does get stuck, it's a good place to be stuck. Top of CC stairs on the Clash. There's worse places you could be positioned. This push doesn't really look like it's coming that way, though, at least for now. A lot of pressure kind of over towards Garage. Dodez on this Azami, not banned out by Team Liquid. W7M chose to remove it on their end. And Lenda's making some pretty good space. He's got barbed wire to deal with, and there's a lot of Kibas to get through, but eventually Dodez is going to be forced to retreat from this position, or else he's going to have to die.
There goes the gunfire. Dodez winning the engagement against a white-hot Diaz is not what I had on my bingo card here at this current point in time. Sloppiness from the Monty of Lenda. Good news, though. Nesk still has some fight in him. He's only died twice. In fact, Liquid have been really efficient with Maya and Nesk staying alive the majority of these rounds. You shall not pass, says Dots. But, I mean, they just walked right past him. So I guess technically he was wrong. Down goes Maya. Volp's on the board this round. And now it's Nesk, the old dog, potentially being taught new tricks. But he's jumped out on by Loban with the Pulse shotgun. Not exactly something you see these days. But if you emerged from a coma over the last couple years, you might be saying, why is Pulse being played? The Reaper MK2, baby. That's why. The new sidearm being given to Pulse allows him to play that shotgun and buys you a bit of grace when it comes to stopping that diffuse plant from below. Good round from W7M. They're within one now of tying things up with Liquid.
They have Dodez to thank for it. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to get one kill playing on Rafters, let alone two, including the Monty. Is kind of a ridiculous way to start that round. But Dodez does crazy things when he's allowed to play operators and positions where he is comfortable. Before he joined W7M, in the last BO3 before joining this team, he dropped 56 kills in a single 3-map series, which would be the record if it was in a Tier 1 context. It was a Tier 2 tournament where he dropped that. He leads the South America League this stage in kills overall, entering this series with 135 frags to his name. Always been a mechanically gifted player, and he's really, I think, come into his own on W7M, winning the major with this team last season and now looking to repeat 4 more rounds on Labs. Will get them there, and then it's just a matter of taking down the best teams in the world to do that once again.
Ready, set, Banshee deployed. Reloading! Wall fortified.
Things can turn very quickly in this series, especially with both of these teams being as good as they are. Barring that first map blowout, Liquid has been a top 5 team through much of this stage. They've only lost 3 times, all in regulation. 6 victories put them at 17 points. We mentioned it in the Los Nip game, how much of a drop-off there is from the top 5 to everybody down below. Los entered as the 6th seeded team with 10 points. Liquid in 5th with 17. For people who don't know how the scoring works, you get 3 points for a regulation victory. That means Los would need to win 2 games in regulation more than they did, and they'd still be a point behind Team Liquid in 5th. While w7m and Team Liquid were only 2 points apart, it was a overtime victory versus a regulation loss that separated them. So they are very evenly matched teams. Despite that, you wouldn't think it after the result on Chalet. Maybe just a slow start for Liquid, who have shown before, Jesse, that they do need some time to get going, and they've found their footing really early on a favorable side of Nighthaven Labs, but now they need to hang on as the job gets harder attacking for the rest of regulation.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. The second half should be the more difficult one for Team Liquid, and it's not made any easier by w7m's extended presence on this mid floor. It's not a top floor roam, it's nothing too crazy, but still extending up as far as they can onto the mid floor. They do find the opening pick. Loban goes down to Daffodil. It's a nice clear of the Azami, and a second one doesn't quite go their way. That's a trade from Dodez to eventually kill Daffodil. Revenge Loban to try to get those numbers back to even. You got to start wondering for Team Liquid, what is the game plan going to be? You'd like to push down through Animus and make that hatch drop work, but you have no control of cargo. Volps is still a huge problem in control. I'd like to think they know that Volps is here, but I'm not so sure that they do, Parker.
He might be playing the greatest game of hide and seek that we've seen on this map, and down goes Maya. Volps now turning his attention towards another player from Team Liquid. The numbers advantage from w7m is gone as Dodez dies in the hands of Diaz. Lots of D names here at play. Dots still upright, keeping that trend alive, as does Diaz, who's collected his 10th kill. He is the main offense of this Liquid team, and he just continues to improve. Dots now on the board as Diaz will tussle with Palu. Down he goes. Lenda finds himself with Diffuser in hand, but Dots will finish things off. Palu was on the board for good measure. And we've got a tie game, Jesse.
Bit of a ridiculous round that we have there. So much fighting going down inside a warehouse, which is not a common spot to see so many gunfights on this map. That combo of Palu and Volps honestly worked so well together, with Volps ratting inside of control. Palu initially plays top cargo, and I think the game plan for Palu is, okay, I'm going to stay cargo, and then eventually I'm going to fall off, and I'm going to go play down on the site with my team. But once Volps started to pop off, he said, why don't I just push forward, help my teammate get these kills, get these frags. Diaz hit some beautiful shots, which brought that, I think, a lot closer than it even should have been for Team Liquid, given the mistakes they made in the droning and their inability to deal with that clash. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. It was a nice shot from Palu to double his kill total in this second map, get himself up to 2 and 5. And then at the end of the day, that site execute just was not going to go their way without numbers. So good bounce back from w7m. They win their first 2 defensive rounds, just like Liquid did. This third round is going to be very telling as to how the second half and thus the game is going to go for us.
Bomb located by attackers. 5 seconds to go.
Always tends to be the storyline with these 4v2 sides or 4-2 sides, where you have a very distinct and innate advantage that comes with the turf that you play on. It tends to be defenders that benefit most from this. w7m have gotten that memo, and they pick up those first 2 rounds, and I mean, it's desperately needed at this point. We knew it wouldn't be another 7-0, that's for sure. Team Liquid surprising us with that first half. I was a bit worried that they wouldn't have the fight in them after the drubbing they received on Chalet, but they were able to push that aside and immediately focus on this being a 2-mapper, and I think that's the right thing to do. The problem is that w7m picked this map, so you can't just pretend it's even footing. You've got a neutral map of Bank lined up for map number 3 because neither team chose it, but then you play on w7m's map of Labs, which means you are likely at the disadvantage. Team Liquid, though, still performing very well. w7m closing the gap, and now we find ourselves with a tie game.
I'll use the Logic Bomb to enter in top Aqua stairs. That's going to provide another dimension to try to get down here onto the player in the hallway. That'll be Volps, who will eventually be dealing with that. But as Lenda entered top Aqua, Dots rotated around and forced him back. So the entry to the building didn't go very well and didn't last very long for Team Liquid. They're now rotating around, trying to find some different way into this top floor. To their credit, that's something w7m actually did quite well in their attack, was taking control of the top floor on this mid-floor bomb site. Liquid have struggled a lot more with it, and they've still got to deal with Loban on this Azami, who's an absolute menace to try to root out.
A slow push from Liquid is not necessarily a bad thing, as they've got tools to pull off a brawl inside of this site, but w7m will try to slow them down and then do some serious damage in the closing moments of the round. A nitro cell, 3 gas canisters. Liquid will have to deal with those. I mean, the Monty will likely be that lightning rod, taking all of the utility from w7m. Has Liquid droned out these roamers? Are they in for a big surprise here? It looks like they've got a read on the castle. What of Loban, though, Jesse?
I mean, they know he dropped, but they won't know his exact position. They hear him, and they go for a swing, but missing the shots on Daffo with a full white. Surely they can get this pick.
They'll trade Daffo with 1. Volps immediately ends whatever Daffo could have accomplished. Now Nesk is down for the count as well. 2 players upright from Liquid watching as Lenda gets diffuser down, isolating Volps. Nitro Cell goes. Lenda needs some coverage. It's all up to Diaz as Lenda gets the job done and now tries to get out of there, finding Loban. w7m still have the clash upright. Diaz now taking a position from above, but he has to wait for Lenda to get into his post plant. Lenda doing matters though, all on his own. Pistol in hand, Diaz watching from above. He doesn't exactly have the best line of sight to the diffuser. Somebody on w7m can be compelled to take from above with 20 seconds left on the clock. There we go. Dots hopping on the diffuse kit. Palu needs to be quick. Diaz reading into him. And now we'll need to shut down Dots. He will do just that. Diaz, good God, putting in one of the best performances we've seen since joining this Liquid squad. Doing it all and denying w7m a 3rd round in a row. Liquid regaining the lead after w7m put on a clinic in both of their first defenses. Oh my.
Parker, I have not seen an individual put on the type of show and the type of game that Diaz is putting on right now in nearly 45 minutes. It is a really great game to come out from Diaz so far. Maybe not quite as ridiculous as Palu on map 1, but even still, he is putting the team on his back, dragging them through this game. And honestly, when that plant went down, I didn't really have a lot of faith in them. He's going top floors to Thatcher. He doesn't have breaching charges. He's got 2 claymores sitting in his pocket, doing him absolutely no good. So he did not have a great angle onto the diffuse kit down below him. You combine that with the fact that there is a Clash who can stick that disable with the shield on her back, and I thought there's no way he gets this done. Great play come out from Lenda as well, supporting Diaz in that round. Getting 2 picks on the Monty after getting the plant down is absolutely ridiculous. Getting away with robbery in a play like that, and w7m will regret letting him get away with it, as it allows Team Liquid to get the lead in the round count once again.
10 seconds left before insertion.
They are very singular-minded when it comes to these operator bans, Parker. We get another electricity operator removed from the board to keep the walls closed, and another hard breacher to remove from the board to keep the walls open. So you're going to be left with some very limited utility dealing with these walls on both sides now in the final 3 rounds.
It might help you get over what happened.
The triple hard breach ban is always just so miserable. It's I'll kind of peel back the curtain for a second here. It's hard to play against, and it's also hard to cast because it means that the typical rhythm is not what we're expecting. Things are gonna be very different. And in order to deal with that, Liquid will take no prisoners. They walk in, down goes Dots. That's the Clash off the board. Loban will soon die. And w7m have been thrown into a tailspin. They'll coalesce around these bomb chassis as no damage has been done to Team Liquid, yet w7m have lost 2 incredibly important players and very valuable operators to boot. They might lose Dotez now as well. He took a gamble on that Rafters door, but will find nothing. What a great start by Liquid, Jesse.
Yeah, that's the dream beginning after you go through that first 3 rounds on the attack and don't find a whole lot of success. Loban went down just inside of electrical. I think he might have been swinging the window when he dies to Nesk. That's a tough one to lose. Just trying to get aggressive to even the man count out, but it just makes things even worse. Now you got to wonder, is somebody else going to try to make an aggressive swing, try to be a hero? With all the good information that Liquid have, Nesk on this Nomad as well, very oppressive to try to push into. It almost feels like it might be better for them to just sit still and try to play their anchor spots, but against a Ying, that's not advisable either.
And because this was done so early on, Team Liquid has tons of time to work with. So even if W7M can present a united front and use their utility effectively, Liquid can troubleshoot this. They've got time on their side. He, as the standout performer for Team Liquid, is sadly the first one to die. That is devastating for Liquid's chances, but it's not like Liquid doesn't have some offensive threats to make up for the lack of Diaz. Now it's Lenda in the ground, though, so maybe things have started to go bad. Jesse, those are the Candelas and the smokes off the board as well. Maya taking down Dodez. Shotgun in the hands of Palu as he was searching for a kill. He'll need to find 3 of them as he's the last one on his team still upright. A Nitro Cell tossed out. Daffo from the back. He started things off, and he will end things as Liquid is 1 round away from stealing W7M's map to tie up the series.
And no doubt about it, that's going to be the best Nighthaven top floor attack that we have seen all day. Just so well put together from start to finish. They get that really aggressive swing to take down Dots. You kill the Clash within the first 30 seconds thanks to some great Ying play from Lenda. That opens the door massively. It's a big swing and a miss from Loban inside of Electrical for a 2-man lead. I got a little nervous when Dodez pushes into IT and downs Diaz outside the breach with the defuse kit. If there was any win con for W7M in the round, that was going to be it. But it just didn't seem to matter. The push came in all the same from Team Liquid. Sure, it gets down to a 3v3, but Maya is shooting strong. They finally clean up Paulo for the last one as well, and it really does all come together in the execute. Team Liquid looking extremely composed from start to finish, and just when we thought we might get an early night after all, that third map is looming very close. Bank seems extremely likely from this point.
10 seconds to go.
It's been an unpredictable day. It feels like we casted an SI Grand Final in that Los versus Nip, and now we might find ourselves doing the exact same thing. Jesse, I hope you are strapped in, because not only does it look like we're going to need a third map, but we have a pretty quick turnaround time because you and I are going to be casting 2 more matches tomorrow. Though it will be the later matches, because I believe it's Fluke and Demo who are starting off the very first day. They might get a quick best of 3 under their belts, and then they're done. It'll be up to us to carry the torch the rest of the way. The grand finals will be brought to you on Sunday. I actually don't know who's going to be casting that, but as far as I can tell from the schedule, it'll just be a single best of 3.
Yeah.
In the upper bracket tomorrow, FaZe Clan versus Furia will engage as Nip is waiting for the winner of this match. The winner of this match also goes to Munich. So we've talked about so much. I feel like we really haven't stressed the importance of this series, as Liquid has now clawed it back and looks very likely to send us to a third map.
It's been such a good game. It has been light maybe on the stakes, but yes, very important match for both these teams. Do or die for the second biggest event of the year. Only second to SI. And that's not how you want it to start for round 10. Daffodil goes down, round 11 even. The opening pick from Loban, making up for the previous round where his swing didn't get a whole lot. This time he's able to find that value down below. That alleviates a lot of the pressure off of Dots, right? Usually you'd use that Deimos to move the Clash, try to get the vert pick onto the Clash and take her off the board, but with Loban going down below and dealing with Daffodil himself, that makes Dots a lot safer to play wherever he wants inside the bomb site.
The only possibility of W7M taking this in a 2-0 will come through overtime, which means we will see more Nighthaven labs. Given you lost your Deimos and how stifling it might be to attack, I think a third map is more likely than an OT comeback. Down goes Loban, so Liquid finally getting on the board with 50 seconds left. I mean, any time is a good time to get the opening pick for your team. You just now need to deal with a Nitro Cell, you need to deal with a Clash. There's no more Kiba barriers to go out, and all of the F-Naught mines thrown out by Volps's Fenrir are also there too, so W7M are going to have to play an active defense, not a passive one. Down goes the Shield of Dots. You will watch that one opening inside the bomb site as now Liquid pushes their way up through rafters. They've also... Well, no. They're getting out of the site. What is going on with Liquid there? It looks like they're calling an audible with 15 seconds left, Jesse. They do not like this attack, and that does not bode well for them. W7M now can just sit and wait, but Maya's on the board yet again. Diaz and Nesker there. My God, suddenly the audible has worked. Volps against his former team. He takes out Nesk. What about Maya? He's dead as well. What about Diaz? He dies too. W7M lives for yet another round. Volps, the monster that Liquid shipped off ages ago, will come back to haunt them in this round. And we need yet another one with W7M surviving for at least 3 more minutes.
Oh, the clock comes back to bite Team Liquid. Volps makes the play to keep his team alive. What a huge couple of swings to come through. That's not an easy 1v3 to win. They didn't know where he was, which was critical to his success, but he had to think so fast on his feet to correctly choose the right targets to start off those couple of kills, eventually stop the planter. Massive plays coming out from the captain of W7M. Volps making everything count when it matters the most. Volps has played in 2 different grand finals at majors. The first one that he played was in a Liquid jersey and he lost. The second major grand final he went to was in a W7M jersey. And that was the most recent one that we've played last year in Montreal, where W7M were the champions. So he's very used to playing on the biggest stage, and you can tell how hungry he is to get back there once again.
I think we said it in that 4-hour masterclass of Los versus Ninjas in Pajamas that, yeah, I hope you guys don't have any plans tonight because you're not going to get to do them. And then W7M was like, well, you know what? Let's make up for lost time. And then they were like, well, what if we just go all 12 rounds in map number 2? What if we just do that? And what if maybe we win, but we do it through overtime? Or what if maybe we go to OT, but then Liquid wins all the same? And then we go to map number 3, and I just sit here and I say, I have a family, please, they need help. I need to see them. I have been trapped. I've been trapped here, watching some of the best and most riveting Siege we have seen in quite some time. I will go so far, Jesse, as to say that this is one of the most stressful and exhausting days that you and I have had as a duo because of how impactful these matches are, what is on the line with it being a major spot, and with how skilled this region is. It has been non-stop, pedal to the metal, foot to the floor, a real extravaganza. And I gotta say, I'm loving every minute of it. So here we are in what might be the final round of this map. If Liquid persevere, we go to bank to settle the score. If W7M win, we are guaranteed at minimum 2 rounds in what could be a 2-0 for the Bulls, or could be just teasing us before map 3 is on the board.
Well, it's the basement defense where we saw that rat play from Volps come out last time we were here. Palu bringing back the clash once again. He's playing actually more aggressive on the top floor this time around. He can walk down those blue stairs if he needs to, but teammates are falling. Dots will be the first one to die to Nesk, who has got that pick onto the player inside of control. It's again for W7M. Now you've kind of got a decision to make. Are you going to play more aggressive? Are you going to try to get that kill back, or do you sit in the site? Without great site utility, it does feel like they're forced to fight more here on the top floor. Palu comes back down to play more with his team on the main floor. Just as he does that, Loban actually rotated up the CC stairs, so he will be going for a late round flank. Everybody else needs to play as passive as they can, distract for Loban if possible, but you cannot give up your life, because if you die and Loban's on the top floor, 2 anchors is not enough to stop Liquid from winning this game.
No, great point. For W7M fans, I mean, I feel for them. To be able to keep this as competitive a second map as it's been, despite the fact that the opposing teams have done very well on the wrong maps, so to speak. W7M have still put in a great effort here. Sometimes it feels like teams have plot armor. I don't know if I can say either of them do at this point, but I mean, you can't have Team Liquid go out like that right after map number 1. Surely not. Liquid managed to get it down onto Dodez, and Maya gets punished immediately in trade by Loban, but W7M are really suffering across the board, Jesse. It doesn't matter, though, what your HP is. As long as you've got a gun in your hands, you are still a threat, and W7M understand that very well. Volps, the superstar from the previous round, getting that 3K to push us to this 12th and final round of regulation, is the only player on W7M at full HP. The 3 remaining guys on the side of Liquid, they have yet to have any damage be done to them, but with 10 seconds left, things will get messy, undoubtedly. 3v3, Volps is gone. W7M's 3 remaining players, 1 foot in the grave, but they are hanging on for dear hope. Where is Nesk with 1 second left? Diffuser drop. Diaz will find himself with no time. W7M wins it. What in the sweet hell is happening in this series? I have no words for what we are witnessing. W7M scrape by for the 2nd round in a row, and we will go to overtime.
The W7M peanut gallery is looking stressed, Parker. I can't imagine what things are like for the players.
I'm stressed.
Or
I'm not even a
fans.
fan of these teams, Jesse.
Oh, it just couldn't go in an easy little map 3, could it, Parker? We got to go the whole way. Overtime on the board, and W7M, I mean, even in the man disadvantage, they always stay composed. Lobin, consistently aggressive, moving around that top floor, always getting into annoying little spots where he's going to get somebody caught off guard. He's going to rat in a corner. You're not going to drone him because you have 7 seconds left in the round. Back-to-back rounds, I should mention, since Liquid hit match point, where the clock really gets away from them. That round, it was tough because there was a lot of roam game happening, right? W7M were pressuring them quite heavily, but 2 rounds in a row now where the time has been a huge factor, and I think Liquid probably would have won both rounds 11 and 12 had there not been 5 seconds left on the clock when they go for that execute. DS literally starts planting it less than a second in round 12. So that's something they need to fix. That's something they gotta think about going forward in this game. They do not have attack timeout, neither do W7M. So these last 2 or 3 rounds will be played just based on the players' adaptations without the input of their coaches. W7M starting on defense. That means they can go to the top floor again. They can go to the bottom floor again. You have to imagine they'll have the advantage.
And I mean, this is why you get your own map in a position where you are expected to win. Now you get the favorable side of overtime. You don't get to pick the side you start on, but the defenders have won both sides. Liquid did it 4-2. W7M able to muster the exact same scoreline, and now W7M should have the safer roles in overtime. But I will caution people, because we often see the less dominant side in regulation do better in OT. That's exactly what happened in the Los Nip series that just ended before we got in to Liquid versus W7M. And if that holds, Team Liquid might have bottled those 2 previous rounds, Jesse, but they will then be the favorites to win here in OT and send us to a 3rd map. It's been a pretty incredible run for both of these teams. If Liquid does go out here, what an impressive comeback it will have been after that dreadful first map. But we won't catch our chickens before they hatch. Let's see what happens in the remaining 90 seconds of this first round of OT.
It's been slow so far. They used the Hibana tech to get the walls open. I believe they did that successfully. So they'll have quite a large breach entering through IT. I guess they got tired of the can openers, so finally resorting to the Hibana tech, and it does go their way. But this is a tough nut to crack. I mean, you still got Dot's top floor playing on the Clash. You didn't bring the Damos this time around to try to root him out. Didn't go so well for you last time, so I don't blame them, but they've got to find some other way to deal with this player. Aware of the air jabs inside of Electrical, Nesk will toss one in, but they are currently being shot by Lobin. He gets flashed, so he doesn't hear that second one getting tossed out. I think he still was able to shoot it, though. He didn't get hit by it at the very least. And if it is set up, he'll be wise enough not to walk back in and give Nesk a free kill, I'm sure.
A Nitro Cell from Palu lined up that could blow this round wide open. Palu finishing that very first map with one of the highest EPSs we have ever seen in an active competition, but he has performed well below that here. W7M has suffered for it. Down goes Lobin. Liquid will strike first. Diaz with 18 kills, by the way. That is an outrageous tally, especially on his role. You are not expecting Diaz to get kills like that this consistently against a team like W7M. Things will go from bad to worse. The defender curse is very real. Liquid looking good. They just need one more. They'll find it. Maya, a 4K? Individual performances coming in huge for these teams. Maya does not want to go quietly, and he'll send Liquid back to map point. Liquid were not able to do anything with it 2 times before, but Jesse, now they get the favored side. Do the attackers have the upper hand, or does Liquid send us to bank?
That's the question, Parker, and it comes after maybe the most important round win that Liquid have had since the stage began. And I mean, it all comes off the back of Maya. He's been the best player for Liquid all stage long. He's the second highest rated player in the SAL, only after JV92. He has posted an EPS of 100 or higher in every single game that he has played since the start of the stage, with the sole exceptions of the BO1 versus 9Z, which, all right, not that important of a game, and the last map of Chalet, where nobody on Liquid was able to post a positive EPS. That previous round, it's nothing complicated. He just enters the door top lobby, walks through the meeting hall, walks through connector, walks into server, and by the time he's finished his little walk around, he's secured 3 kills in the round for his team. Challenging Diaz just barely for that top frag position. You're right, Diaz is not often the top fragger of Team Liquid, but he did end up as the highest rated player on Chalet. Now the highest rated player, no doubt, on Nighthaven Labs, but is it going to be enough against w7m, who are known to lock in during tense moments like this?
It's been a stunning day of matches so far. It started with Los versus Nip bucking all trends and expectations. I've never really seen the desk so united in one result, and the thought was, yeah, Nip will win this 2-0. For those of you that didn't watch that matchup, Nip still did win, but my God, it took all but one possible round for it to happen. Los very clearly not as bad as we expected. An incredible best of 3, followed up by one of the most lopsided maps we've seen in Brazil so far this year. w7m playing a warm-up against Team Liquid on Chalet, with Paulu against his former team going 14-0, posting one of the highest expected player stats that we've seen in quite some time. This here has been a scrappy game between the two. This map picked by w7m, yet Liquid finds themselves in control, and we might still have one more map to go, Jesse.
Not looking like they're going to be able to reinforce that Raptors wall, so it will stay open for the rest of this round. Air jabs make it very tough now, as w7m do have good control. They've also opened up IT without too many problems, so they've gotten pretty good map control. I'd like to maybe see somebody pushing over towards CC, the blue stairs, or maybe over towards connector instead. A push that just comes from the north with Raptors and IT is often not going to be enough map control. Loads of time, though. That's the biggest difference. Team Liquid, their last 3 attacks all came with like 10 seconds left on the clock. w7m are looking at 70, 60 seconds, and I mean, they could go for a push right now if they wanted to.
They're the team that has to bring the objective into this bomb site, and they're also the team that finds themselves in a hole at the moment. It is incumbent upon them, not just for this round, but for the sake of this map, as they look to keep themselves alive in a map that they had initially thought would go so well, but is going so poorly and will go even worse. It was almost done flawlessly in the previous round. Now it's Liquid yet again dominating w7m across the board. Dodez and Paulu are the last 2 standing, leaving it to Dodez. They might not have gotten it done flawlessly the round before, but damn it, they'll do it this time. Liquid send us to map 3. For Bank for South America to send one of 2 teams to the major. Jesse, I know that you said w7m. I obviously said Liquid. I'm sure you probably believe that. Maybe not, but what are going to be the points to watch for here? What are the things that we need to see to know which of these teams will have a decided advantage and be the favorite to win this final Munich major spot? Is it the bans? Is it the starting side? What do you think?
Definitely looking at the starting side, Parker. Both of these teams have really struggled on bank. Sometimes you get a decider map in a BO3 and it's like, well, both teams are equally good at this map. They're both great playing the map. Here, both teams are kind of equally bad. We've got some really rough stats going through this. On the defensive side, Team Liquid have just a 38% win rate on bank this stage in the SAL, which is not great, but it's at least better than w7m, who have a 26% defensive win rate on this map. Both are a little bit better on attack. I'm lying to you. Liquid are actually a little bit worse on attack. w7m are a little bit better, but both teams have definitely been having problems on bank. And so I don't think we're going to get the cleanest game. Might come kind of down to who makes the most mistakes. If you want to go at it from a historic angle, I definitely think w7m have to be the favorites. Team Liquid currently on a 6-game losing streak on bank, and that's only a very technical 6-game losing streak because that 6-game losing streak is broken by a win in Copa Sudamericana versus La Chispa, who I have no clue what that team is, but apparently they lost 7-1 to Liquid on bank. If you ignore that game against whatever tier 2 team that is, tier 3 team probably, that would be a 9-game losing streak for Team Liquid on bank. So they are not a very experienced team here on this map. w7m 5 plays this stage. Their only victories were 8-7 versus Los and then 7-5 versus Liquid. So it's not been a very great map for either teams, but historically we would lean towards w7m.
One thing that we can agree upon is that at least the same, if we're using the same data here, w7m are a better attacking team than Liquid is a defending team.
Yep.
Liquid are not a particularly good attacking team on this map. So, I mean, we will see what happens. w7m using those numbers should then, just based on the way that these two teams match up against each other, should be able to pull out an early lead. And Bank is a decidedly attacker-sided map, as we discussed when we saw it in the Los versus NIP matchup. Now, unfortunately for w7m, if they do want to persevere, which is a word that I've somehow used a dozen times in this series because I think my brain was broken in Los versus NIP, if I'm being frank. But if they do want to prevail, succeed, win, triumph, any of those words, they're going to have to do it down a player. Loban dies early. 2 shields being brought, the Fuse shield and an Osa on the board.
And Parker, I think our 2 least favorite shields. I know you're no fan of the Fuse shield. I'm personally no fan of the Osa shield.
You hate Osa, and I think you're just, I don't know, man.
Listen,
Osa's great.
Every time I watch someone plant behind this operator, they get blown to smithereens by a nitro cell or an impact. It just feels like one of the lowest success rate plays. He's not planting on it though. Actually gave the defuse kit over to Volp, so I like this 100 times more. Using Osa here in garage to just hold the long angle, it can be a lot more effective than trying to plant behind her. And it might even get a free kill for Dodez if he can hit his shots, but so far hasn't done it.
I mean, Liquid's going to continue that strong start. Dodez gone, hard breach off of the board, except for the can openers that have been brought. Now all 4 have been used, 2 by Volps, 2 by Palu. God's taking some damage to the feet and will now pull out that 5.56, looking for a kill as he pushes his way up garage, as that shield's still situated by the main garage door. Nesk very quickly discovering that the Osa has actually got into a different position. Dot's army crawling on the ground. He's a snake. He's a slithery little snake. And unfortunately, the Snake Charmer on the side of Liquid is able to simply deal with him. Now it's Volps and Palu as last player standing on w7m. Again, these former players from Team Liquid. Palu did not have the best game on Nighthaven Labs. He will have to muster a greater performance. It's now the Flames that were brought out originally by the Goyo canister, now in the hands of Tachanka, will keep him at bay. Volps attempting whatever he can, but he's just being held at bay by that same fire. Now it's Palu who picked up a kill onto Lenda, searching for even more, but Team Liquid don't want to give him anything. Once formerly a member of Team Liquid, just like Team Liquid, he will survive. And Liquid now 6 rounds away from the final spot of SA League for the Munich Major.
Not too bad for Team Liquid to start things off on bank. Again, kind of a tough push from w7m. It certainly doesn't help that you lose Loban on the entry frag, trying to make an impact there on the top floor at the very start of that round before 60 seconds had even gone by. And then it just didn't feel like they had great tools to make that push work. Something we talk about a lot, Parker, when you get that double shield ban with both the Monty and the Blackbeard being taken out, sometimes instead of trying to force your strategy with worse tools. Instead of trying to force a blitz shield or force an Osa shield, it can sometimes just be better to abandon the shields and maybe make a Ying push work, make a push with Grim work. They did have Paulo on the Grim, but maybe a Sens push, right? I mean, there's a lot of other tools that teams like to bring on that bottom floor bomb site. W7M opted not to try it. I would expect that when we get to round 4 and we see the basement once again, W7M will try a different strategy. We know how flexible this team can be, but sometimes you got to try something once to realize if it's going to work or not. And this time against Liquid, that strategy just really fell flat.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
How unpracticed, I guess you could say. I was trying to think of a pleasant way of saying it. How unpracticed these teams are on this map. I suspect we are going to see some hiccups, especially on attack. Attacking is almost always harder for teams that don't know a map. And again, this is a relatively weak map for both of these teams, which means it should be an even game. W7M has the leg up starting on attack. It is an attacker-sided map, and W7M's attack stats on this map aren't really that terrible. So it will be a troubling sign if W7M struggle to put a couple rounds on the board early. They already showed some pretty pronounced struggles in round number 1, but again, when you're trying things, it can take you some time to find your footing. I would be shocked if Liquid run away with this first half of the map based on what we've seen so far between these teams and based on what we know on the numbers. But if W7M are unsuccessful in this second round, you might see an early timeout called to try and get their head in this and get some strategies working. W7M will bring a very punishing lineup. The Aurora, a Glaz, a Blitz being added. Liquid will have to watch and see where the entry comes from and how to deal with it because some of those lines of sights have been closed off, Jesse.
Yeah, this is not an execute with these smokes. They're simply trying to bait for this Glaz. I don't believe Volps has fired a shot yet, so this is probably not known to the defenders that there is going to be a Glaz on the board. Second mirror window from Daffodil will go down right next to the first, so you've got a little bit more ability to watch this double window plant coming in from W7M. Here comes the first swing from Dot, hoping to plant under the smoke.
Nitro Cell now primed and ready. Hawked out, but just a bit short. W7M sweeping through these Liquid defenders. Timer will be shortened as diffuser goes down. Diaz managing to punish one more as W7M still holds an advantage, but now it's gone. The Blitz in pursuit. Where is Daffo to come to the aid of Diaz? The Aurora Palu is likely out on Repel. That leaves Dots in a position where he can see these two players, but will now need to play keep away. Feeding their way in, shield goes down, and he finds both for his trouble. Dots managing to blind both remaining Liquid players and then use the sidearm. An impressive post round that got a little bit hairy there for W7M, but they have equalized off of it.
Is it a cheesy round win? Perhaps, but it's a round win nonetheless, and W7M really did pull it off perfectly. They hid that Glaz until the final moment. It was a really critical kill that Volps got onto Maya in the midst of that plant. Maya walking up on the Clash, threatening to stop that plant going down from Dots, but the coverage was really good. At the same time, you had Loban over towards top square. He shut down the bottom floor flank. Lenda was trying to deny that plant from down below, but he was unsuccessful. I think both Nitro cells from Daffodil and Lenda ended up missing in that round. They both picked different spots to try to toss that Nitro, and both were failing to really stop the plant with it. So it's a good little push to come through. You said it gets a little bit messy in the end, but there's a reason why Dots is regarded as one of the best shield players in the world. I will stand that I think he's at the very least the best shield player in South America. He is so good with these aggressive shields, in particular the Blitz, the Blackbeard, I should say. Can do so much deadly work, and just given what Liquid have banned so far, I would highly suspect that they do ban out that Blitz after this round.
Team Liquid will now patiently await an ever-changing lineup of the shifting sands of W7M, now bringing a Nook and a Ram to the party, and the Nook is going to go through main lobby, probably directly at elevators. That's how we tend to see a lot of teams play this operator if your main goal is to not sneak up through garage. But most teams these days have a player anchored somewhere by garage, and if not actively holding it, then they've got a cam up. Be it a black eye cam, an evil eye cam, a bulletproof cam, something along those lines. Volps will now give clear passage for Loban to get in. squaring himself up to the pillar, avoiding that bulletproof or that regular default cam that might still be up. Right up main stairs he will go, looking towards the Mira of Maya, who's now just fallen away. Maya has no idea what is coming. And look at how aggressive Loban has been. He's been so successful, Jesse, but not a soul in front of him. Where is Team Liquid?
They just dropped off, Parker. I mean, I don't think they saw the Nook at all, but decided early in this round to concede this space. Everybody falling off with about 2 minutes and 5 seconds left on the clock. So surprised to see them give up that space so early. It is the right call, as we know, with this Nook, but definitely a weird decision to be made. Now the question is, what do they do aggressive in the mid-round? How do they swing out and try to get that man count? And it's going to be Maya to strike first on Evolves.
There was a hope on the side of w7m that they'd be able to fly in and completely dominate Team Liquid without them seeing. That has not come to pass, but Liquid is losing out to w7m's guns all the same. Maya likely unrecoverable. He'll join Nesk and Diaz. Lenda will go down too. And there's Loban, who was hoping to be an early factor, but he'll be the last man to get a kill in the round. w7m putting two together. They take the lead. Blitz ban possibly incoming, but I can't honestly say the blitz was a huge issue in that round. There's a lot of things that went wrong for Liquid despite them falling off, which seemed to be the right call.
Yeah, it was a good push altogether from w7m. You know, they went really fast, and I think it caught Liquid off guard with how quickly they were in the bomb site. Dots dropped that stock hatch with like a minute 30 on the clock, which is crazy. See how fast he was in the bomb site. We saw Dodez getting kills from the janitor hatch, where he ended up dropping and having some big frags. Paulu was just sitting in the back alley, jumped into Printer, eventually got 2 kills in the round from him. Then Loban, you said it, gets that final kill, picks up the defuse kit, pulls off the plants. Not exactly what you'd expect from a Nook, but he gets the job done regardless. He does whatever is asked of him. The Blitz will get taken out, as will the Smoke, which is kind of a cool ban to see on Bank, not super common to come through. It seems like we're paused for a quick moment here. So I'll take the opportunity to hype up some of these w7m players. Loban playing the Nook last round and Dots playing the Blitz the last 2 rounds have been teammates essentially for their entire careers. They've both attended 2 majors together, and both times they went to a major, they made it to the grand finals. The first one in Atlanta, the second one in Montreal. If history does repeat itself and w7m do make it to their 3rd major by beating Liquid here tonight, then in theory, they should be set up for a really deep run once again, going far into the land in Munich.
Just to once again cement the importance of these games and talk a little bit about the matchups that are still to come, as we are in day 1 of what will be a 3-day finale of the South America League, the final league to finish things up. The winner of this game in here in this 3rd map will...
That's tragic.
I don't think that's good, Jesse.
10 seconds left.
No, that is good for anyone who wants to be up as late as possible watching the South America League at all costs.
We had a very, very long series to start off today's matches. Nip and Los going almost 4 hours for a best of 3 that went 44 of 45 rounds with some tech issues intermittent. Very few tech issues, to be fair. We've actually been very blessed in that regard. But here we go now. First map looked like w7m was going to walk away with this in a 2-0, but we expected this to be a very contested and hotly contested, some could even say, matchup, and it has lived up to that billing. So I'll go back to my original point. w7m and Team Liquid now in map 3, just the 3rd map that has been required. Every series prior to the start of today has been done in 2 maps, albeit most of them going to OT, or at least the very end of regulation. Nip and Los gave us our very first 3rd map, and now w7m and Team Liquid have not disappointed as they give us our 3rd map here as well. The winner of this series goes to Munich. They will get the final spot that is yet to be spoken for. NA, all 4 teams qualified. EU, all 4 teams qualified. APAC, they got it done first, baby. SAL, the last league to send their full squad of representatives. FaZe Clan, Furia, and NIP all have spots so far. one of the Titans of W7M Team Liquid will make it. In tomorrow's matchups, we will have FaZe Clan and Furia in the upper bracket final, where the winner goes to the grand finals, and the loser will go down to the lower bracket final. That team that loses the FaZe Furia match will play the winner of NIP versus the winner of this series. So if Team Liquid prevails, they will play Ninjas in Pajamas, and then the winner of that will play the loser of FaZe Clan Furia. We'll have 3 matches tomorrow, and then on Sunday it'll be just the grand final to see which team is the champion of the SA League.
Plenty still to play for as well. That championship spot giving out 300 SI points. A lot of SI points will be given out at the major as well as during regional finals, but these stage 1 and stage 2 SI points can be absolutely critical, especially for a team like Liquid who didn't have the greatest stage 1. It's even more important for them that they make a deep run. It's not going to be enough just to finish 4th, squeak into the major. They take that, of course, but if they want to be making SI, they got to go for a deep run at some point here in the events that we have leading up to SI in February. It's kind of crazy to think that one of these 2 teams won't be at the second biggest event of the year in Munich. W7M, the reigning major champions, winning in Montreal last year. Team Liquid, some of the biggest names in all of Siege. Nesk is a name that needs no introduction. He's the oldest player in the South America League, and if he qualifies by beating W7M today, it'll be his 22nd ever Tier 1 event. A ridiculous streak of LAN tournaments coming in from him. Of course, hasn't actually won one of those tournaments since 2018, but you gotta think the time is coming.
To think that the only hardware that's in the cabinet of Nesk is a Pro League Finals from when you were still in diapers, and then a OGA Pit event. That's really all Liquid's been able to do. Outside, of course, of all the triumphs and success that they've had in Brazil, we're talking about international competition, because let's not kid ourselves. Brazil is a fiercely proud region that is ultra competitive. Dare I say it, the most competitive region in Siege consistently year over year. But while it's good to be the best in Brazil, you want to be the best in the world. That is something that a couple teams in Brazil have accomplished. FaZe Clan won the 6 Invitational in Boston this year. Last year, FaZe Clan fell just short to their fellow countrymen of W7M, now competing under the Furia banner, winning the 6 Invitational in Brazil on home soil. A couple years before that, during the lockdowns with no crowd in the building, but a beautiful set in France, in Paris in particular, it was Ninjas in Pajamas to rise from the ashes like a phoenix, as our good friend Ace said. 3 teams from Brazil have been world champions. W7M are defending major champions from beating BDS at the Montreal Major November of last year. Team Liquid has never been quite so fortunate. They won the Pro League Finals in Atlantic City in 2018 and then won a minor in Split, Croatia for the OGA Pit event. And that's really all they've been able to do on international soil. And despite this, there is a long history with this organ, with one particular player of Nesk, where you just know that if he retires without a proper championship, it will be one of the biggest what-ifs in Siege Esports history.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
You sounded so Canadian there. No doubt about that.
No doubt about that, eh, bud?
Just gonna scooch past you as I go get a bag of malt.
We don't do that in Alberta, buddy, but yes. This is an important game, is the point here, and we're going to start to see W7M make their second attempt on the bottom floor bomb site as round 4 is well underway. The fuse being used to try to clear out these Goyo canisters did go off, but a lot of these Goyos do still exist. Not sure if those cluster charges got what they were hoping for. Some barbed wire may be destroyed, and perhaps a bulletproof as well that was likely there in the site. So not nothing, but more work to be done before they go for this execute, Parker. They have brought the sends, and that's something I was kind of asking for after round 1. Something I thought that definitely could have helped them out when they go for a round like this. Block off some of those sight lines. The Warden can't see through it. You force Team Liquid to guess as to where they toss out these Tachanka launchers, right? Where they toss the fire out. gives you at least a chance of getting the plant down, because otherwise you're looking at a Nitro Cell from Daffodil. You still got likely Evil Eyes in the site from Lenda, the Fire from Diaz. It's going to be really tough to actually get a plant inside from server. You don't have some way to obscure the vision of the defenders.
Another attempt at a garage take. W7M bringing only one shield this time around. Jessie has hated Osa so much that she is gone. I mean, at this point, Osa and Fuse are really the only shields left, and Lenda will swat away at Dodez. Loben down for the count as well. Now Dot's taking some serious damage. Lenda with a big double play to almost assuredly secure the round. Nesk taking some damage. Down goes the Fenrir of Nesk as Palu greets him with waiting arms, trudging through the flames into the waiting hands of Diaz. And Daffo will seal the deal with a kill on Devolps. Quite a bit of time waiting between rounds, but Liquid finding that fifth gear on this bottom floor bomb site. They cannot play it any longer. Locked out for the remainder of the first half. But they've tied the game because of it.
Yeah, not the push that you were hoping to see if you're a W7M fan. I mean, they come down with the Sens walls, but it doesn't actually cover the drop into the site from Dodez. Loben then goes down right after, trying to play around those hatches. Once again, it just doesn't feel like they're really able to make that drop very safely, because those Sens walls just weren't so successful. And then eventually, I think it was a Nitro Cell from Daffodil that did clear out the Sens walls and made it very obvious where that plant was going down. So as a Warden, you might not be able to see through Sens, but you certainly can destroy them. And so that's a perfectly valid way to clear out that utility, get yourself a round win on the board for Team Liquid. Daffodil was initially playing on the smoke on that bomb site, so if he had been on the smoke once again, probably wouldn't have been able to clear out those Sens walls, but banned out, he's forced to play Warden instead, and that Nitro Cell ends up being the most important piece of utility in the midst of that round. All the little one-offs coming through with these operator bans, W7M, and sometimes not actually favoring them.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
I need to run another seal.
And so it goes with another attempt with the Fuse Shield. Expect to see quite a bit of it moving forward because, well, it's all you've got available, as we touched upon. A Nook yet again, this time in, I have to imagine, a different deployment, Jesse, than we saw previously. That was Loben rocking the Nook before. The goal was to tackle elevators or potentially go up main stairs and grab somebody inside of conference room. But Liquid had done their best disappearing act. Still, the rest of the team mobbed Team Liquid off site. Loben, as the Nook, puzzlingly made it into the bomb site before most did and got the final kill. Not exactly the deployment you want from that operator, but it still succeeded. So, hey, you can't really knock it. Now down goes Maya at the hands of Dodez, who has hatch control, but Diaz is there on the Black Mirror. Says goodbye to Dodez, and we will equalize. Palu making his way into the building on that bottom floor through the dirt tunnel. It doesn't look like there's anybody from Liquid within the vicinity.
Love that mirror window. You don't see it very often staring at the janitor hatch, but it's so effective when it does get used. Makes it really annoying to play around that position. There was a great interview last week between Loben and Alfama where they talked about why sometimes they switch operators around from players, and Loben talked about how he used Habana as the example, but he said, if we want an aggressive Habana, I'm going to play it. If we want a passive Habana, Palu takes it. Not exactly sure what a passive Nook looks like, but I think the logic is much the same here. The deployment of the operator is going to be very different based on who's playing it. We had a great example of that with Palu. I would say quite passively, sitting in the basement, waiting for a flank to come through and potentially stop somebody's server stairs.
I was just going to say, I mean, passively is when you have a numbers advantage and you've read the defense and know they have offsite players and you take a gamble or you have knowledge, either via drone or VOD review, of where they like to flank from. You can sit in a position where there is a cam, giving them the false confidence that there's nobody there. That allows Palu's gadget to be used to maximum effect, and it's a point of frustration for these defenders. I mean, Palu is within striking distance of Lenda, who might now find the Nook angrily taking up space closer and closer, and there it is. Palu is on the hunt. Cue the Jaws sound. Almost gets him, by the way. Lenda dies, but does quite a bit of damage in the process. Diaz is in the ground, too. W7M pushing Team Liquid to just 2 players. Daffo will immediately equalize, and he's got one more lined up. Triple duty, perhaps. Volps gets out of the bomb site. He will once again go toe-to-toe with his team, his former team, removing Daffo from the equation and finding Nesk for good measure. W7M takes the lead.
My God, Volps, for the second time, saving W7M in a round that they had no business winning. Not as crazy as the 1v3, I would argue, on Nighthaven Labs, but just as important to get them in the lead once again. Get your third attacking round win on the board for Bank. Big stuff coming out from the captain of W7M and former Team Liquid player Volps. Really nice stuff coming out from him. Always calm, always collected. Not everything went right in that round. In fact, a lot of things ended up going wrong for W7M. Completely missed Lenda on blue stairs. He had been sitting on blue stairs essentially the entire round. He gets to that position at around 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So all but the first 15 seconds, he's in that spot. I don't think Palu was expecting it, because Palu enters in through Dirt Tunnel. He walks through servers right past Lenda, who's sitting on the stairs, and then is just watching the bottom of main stairs the entire time. So they completely miss Lenda playing that position. He's in the one spot that the Nook doesn't get a read on. And because of that, he gets an absolutely critical kill, taking down Loban at the bottom of square. Taking down Dots, I should say, at the bottom of square, having a massive impact. Quick thinking from W7M and a fast reaction time to trade him out, take the man advantage back in their control, head towards that site in the 3v2. Not an easy round to win, multiple points of failure, but in the end, one man popping off can be enough, and that round it was.
I know that we've made jokes about how long today has been, but I just want to say, today's matches have been really something special. These are two tremendous games between incredibly good teams, and it's been an incredibly enjoyable day. I don't really think there's much more to say about that. I will be honest and say that my brain is mostly mush at this point. It feels like we've casted almost 2 SI finals. You know, I think people often overlook the energy aspect of our job. I remember just how depleted I felt after that coastline cast of G2 versus Team Empire. And I mean, I'm feeling similar things today, and I gotta say, I just passed 8 years of casting at this level, and to be able to feel that again at this stage in my career, I just want to say it's an honor. And I hope that you've been enjoying the games as we ride along with yet another closely matched third map. Anybody's game at this point, Jesse.
Wall opens up. That's going to open the door for a plant with 90 seconds left in the round. Honestly, pretty passive hold from Team Liquid. All 5 players here on the top floor. You'd think with the Solus, maybe they'd be going down below, and there certainly will be the chance for Maya to do that a little bit later in the round, go for that flank. But at the moment, content just playing inside the hallway. He moves in and finds a big pick onto Dota as the ace falls just outside of stock. Dota, again, has been probably the best player on W7M since the stage began, so taking him out is absolutely massive. Drops that second dimension to the push too. You really now can start moving a little bit more freely outside of Janitor, and hopefully you can get a flank in and stop that push coming in from top square.
If you want a quick series, I'm going to say something that might just come to fruition. I imagine that we're going to see 2 3-3 halves and then need overtime to settle this between the squads, because that's been the kind of day it's been, and these are the kind of teams that match up oh so well. W7M might have something to say about that, though, but Maya, whose spotlight's been stolen a bit today by Diaz's heroics in map number 2, finding his footing in this round now with 2 kills. Nesk joining in on the fun. It leaves Volps and Dots in a do-or-die situation. Down goes Dots at the hands of Nesk, and now it's all up to Volps. Volps has been in this last player standing spot so often, and he's had multiple opportunities to make his former team pay. He succeeded once, but beyond that, it's been Liquid all the way, and Nesk will have the last laugh of the final round of the first half. Neither team able to shake one another. 3-3 through 6 rounds.
I gotta say, Parker, your prediction is looking pretty accurate. I'd have to agree with it. The 3-3s have been coming out strong today, with one notable exception at the start of this series. But I mean, it just feels like everybody is so evenly matched with everything on the line. you got to give all the credit in the world to Maya in that round. It's kind of insane, right? Because I feel like a lot of worse players would have taken the Solus in a round like that, and they would have started the round maybe down inside of archives, maybe a bottom lobby. They would start it on the bottom floor, and then eventually w7m would read into that. They'd go for the clear. They maybe would trade 1-for-1, but eventually they'd get the kill on the Solus. Maya starts and spends most of that round up on the top floor in the bomb site. He somehow gets a nasty kill onto Dodez, and then he goes down below where he's able to cause even more problems. After w7m have already droned out archives, after they've already called that it's all 5 players on site, that's when he makes the play to go down below bottom square, get his second kill that round. Just such a nuisance, honestly. It creates so many problems for w7m that they just did not have the resources to deal with. That's the type of gameplay that Liquid need more of if they want to win this matchup. I would argue came into this game as the slight underdogs. w7m probably slight favorites, even though they are very close in skill. They need to be able to catch w7m off guard in a lot of these rounds. They need to be able to bring that aggression to them. If you just let them get set up in the way that they want to, then you're not going to find much success. But I think Liquid did a good job in that first half, and now it's just about translating that on attack as well.
Jesse, the only thing I love more than good siege is being right. And there's a possibility that we accomplish both of those things at the same time if we go into overtime. And I am just delighted at that prospect, let me tell you.
Was it not you at the start of the day who said, "Oh yeah, 2-0, start our first game"?
I have no memory of anything before this match.
I'm pretty sure that was you. So if this does go 3-3 half, 3-3 half into OT, we'll say you're like 50-50 on the day. You're neither right nor wrong. How about that?
Mine primed.
Jesse, I like to play both sides so that no matter what, I always come out on top.
All right.
It's a strategy that, I'll be honest with you, has not really worked for me so far, but I'm really hoping it catches on at some point.
Well, listen, Parker, both sides of this map will be important, just given that the first one ended a 3-3 split. And it starts with a bit of a roam game from w7m as well. Nothing too aggro, but just given that it's Paulo and Dodez here around open area, I kind of think they might stick around and take some gunfights. Lend on the fuse shield, won't be able to do a whole lot by himself, and maybe opens an opportunity to get a kill.
There's Diaz starting things off in this second half. Wow. w7m based just solely on the numbers should have been better than a 3-3 with them attacking. I think that is a bit of a worrying sign. Liquid sees an opportunity here now. As these defenders with their DMRs positioned so closely, Lobin now in the ground. Nesk falls too. Lenda taking some serious damage from Dodez. Early engagement. 90 seconds into the round, that's it. Quite a brisk pace being set by Liquid.
Yeah, Lobin was just inside of Tellers, so this is going to be a big problem. The roamers are falling like flies. Dots is about to die next. He's hiding next to the printer here, doing his best to try to survive inside Tellers where his teammate just died. But Parker, they know. The droning has been so good from that opening kill from Diaz. Now there should be another pick here onto Dots. Wolves will get a Toxic Babe pick, so that's 2 from him. But even still, is this doable?
Anything's possible if you believe, and right now you've got 5 believers still in the lobby. 2 gas canisters in pocket for Volps as he will use a belated reinforcement, some left in pocket on the side of w7m. So giving himself a bit more security down in this bomb site because the action happened so early. Team Liquid has plenty of time to shift their forces. They will do just that. 2 players targeting blue. They'll walk through servers. The third has been positioned over in garage. That's Dafo, who will gamble his life on the fact that nobody from w7m would be watching that. And of course, at this point in time, it would be so absurd to do that. Trouble, though, as one hatch still closed. Now Dafo getting into position. Dodez not anywhere near the bomb site. He'll have to return, leaving Volps to hold it all down by himself, but they are running out of time. They've got to read inside a garage. Dafo and Dodez doing battle. Dodez gets dropped. Volps last man standing on the ground, and against the shield he will endure. w7m win based on time. I think Nesk's reaction says it all for us. What am I doing? We have to use our heads. Volps doing the exact same thing in the exact same camera position. It's a bit funny when we see that. w7m takes the lead off of a desperate attempt by Team Liquid.
And honestly, what a ridiculous round that was from Volps. There's going to be a lot of players at the end of the day that get talked about from this series. Paulu's performance on map 1, Diaz's performance on map 2, but I think all day Volps has really been the consistent star for W7M. Stepping up, first gets the opening pick, at least for his team, by just playing top blue stairs. Nesk enters electrical, Volps takes the gunfight. He says, my teammates are all dying open area, I gotta do something. Wins that gunfight. Then he swings out even further. He looks into archives. He says, that's a Deimos not looking my direction. I'll shoot him in the back of the head, no problem. Gets the second kill for his team. Now he's in a 2v3. Okay, gets a little bit more awkward. Then he's got to go all the way, or his teammate ends up going all the way over to garage, finally gets one so that Volps doesn't have to get every kill on his own. But for the majority of that round, Dodez is running around the top floor, so Volps is holding down the site by himself. Kills Diaz as he drops in through the hatch. The time is just not there at all for Team Liquid. Volps does everything possible in that round to save it for W7M and get them their first defensive round. A ridiculous performance to come through again. The captain of W7M, 5-2 in this game and just looking so strong.
Well, Jesse, we've these two teams are still very deep in their long day at the long day factory shift right now.
Uh-huh.
That's an uh-huh.
That's an uh-huh.
Okay, you're laughing. How are you laughing? You're giving such a muted expression when you very clearly are enjoying
Parker,
this.
Some of the things you say don't deserve more than an uh-huh, okay?
And
I'm
yet
sorry,
you
that's
laughed.
just
So
the way
obviously it
is.
deserved not just an uh-huh, but it also got you laughing. Yeah, see, exactly.
I can't, bro.
You are not capable of admonishing me for the silly things that I say. I have always inhabited the role of the wacky person in every single duo, and everybody I've casted with, be it Kix, be it Pengu, or you guys are always the straight man. You always treat me like none of my jokes are funny, and it just really hurts my feelings. So all I asked for is a little bit of humor and a little bit of laughter, and you gave it to me, so thank you, even if you tried not to.
Nesk hoping to get a kill here at the top of square, but they know where he's at. They're not going to give him any inch. I think with how the first defense went for W7M, they're trying to rein things in, Parker. They got slammed on the entries, and now they want to play a little bit more passive on the top floor.
There go the logic bombs. First one employed by Diaz. They catch Dodez waiting over inside of stock trading. That's Maya following up on the intel. They've still got 2 death marks from Nesk, 1 more logic bomb. All the Bs have been used by Maya. And will track down Dots, who now finds some security over towards Elevator. Loban in the ground at the hands of Diaz. Maya taking some damage as well. Fights breaking out all over this cavernous map. Liquid, though, with a bit of a nest egg at this point in time. But that's a great set of eyes by Paulu to spot Maya. I don't know if he's retrievable or not, Jesse.
Probably not, especially with only 30 seconds. They got to make choices on what they're going to do with the 1-for-1 trade outside of Janitor. So Paulo and Dots alone in the 2v3. They can't get into sight, though, Parker. They're still just stuck outside these windows. No more toxic babes as the smoke did die, but this is a dangerous situation. If you rappel in, you're in a dangerous spot because of exactly that.
Huge moment with the yokai still up. Dafo's been baited in. Maya bleeding out. Diaz nowhere near able to impact this. The jig will be up, though, as it's Dots left alive, all on his lonesome. He has to get off and take matters into his own hands, and he gets the job done. Pardon me. Right as it hits 0, right as he's about to run out of runway, he lands it, and W7M stretches their lead.
Parker, my jaw just dropped. Dude, Dots is such a smart player. He stops the plant the first time with the yokai, right? Classic play. Anybody could make a play like that. He's sitting front desk. He's sitting checkers. He's like, fine, I'm going to stop the plant. Then the plant rotates. Daffodil doesn't have time to find the yokai camera. There's like 3 seconds left on the clock. So he's like, I'm just going to change my plant position. And he, luckily, I would say, moves to a spot where that yokai can't see him. Now, I think a lot of a lot of Echo players at that point would have tried to move the drone over. The drone likely would have gotten shot by Diaz. It would have been a round loss. It would have been messy. But Dots recognizes, wait a minute, That plant just rotated to a spot I have an angle on. So he gets off the camera and just shoots towards the planter. It's perfectly played from Dots. Diaz lives through that whole round, but there's nothing that can happen because the plant is denied on 000. Excellent echo play coming out from Dots in a round like that. It's been a while since we've seen him play the echo on that bomb site, but he steps up so big and makes it happen. Really nice stuff coming through from him. Back-to-back defensive rounds now from w7m. They weren't clean rounds. They weren't decisive rounds by any means. It was a big moment from Volps and now a big moment from Dots, but a round win is a round win, and Liquid are looking at a 2-round deficit.
The presumption was that w7m would rack them up on attack, and then Liquid would catch them in this second half. The opposite has happened. Team Liquid kept it real close. The first half tied 3 rounds apiece. And w7m's defense has been the bigger story so far. Now, mind you, Team Liquid's attacking numbers on this map are very poor. But w7m's defending numbers on this map are equally poor. So it's a movable object versus a stoppable force at this point. w7m has been fighting these really scrappy engagements, and Liquid does not know what to deal with it. Both of these teams are full of superstars. Both of these teams are full of players who can pull a round out of, well, where the reinforcements come from, if I'm trying to be polite. And w7m has done that, not accounting for the yokai, not accounting for the echo being up. Just seems like a bit of sloppiness from Team Liquid, especially stacking up after you shoot the yokai and you get knocked off the plant with 3 seconds left. The plant started at 10 seconds. It's a 7-second action. You know that the yokai is going to have to knock you off, and you'll have a moment to recenter yourself. w7m keeps winning those rounds, and this thing is over.
A lot of it comes down to the time too, though. I mean, sometimes there's just not enough left on the clock to worry about all these little things, and the chaos, it ends up biting you. And this was a big problem that they had on Nighthaven Labs, remember? A lot of those late pushes where w7m were racking up the round wins came off of Liquid, frankly, choking things out on low time. Now it's happening again on Bank. They need some early pressure so these rounds can go a bit faster. Sprinting through the top floor, but Volps, like a ship in the night, just walks right past in the smoke and gets the drop down through the vending hatch, through the janitor hatch.
Ships don't walk, Jesse. That's not how they work. I know that you live in a landlocked state, but I would hope that you know what a ship is. You should Google it. I don't even get an okay this time. Okay, whatever. You know what? No. Loban is having a pretty rough game so far, especially after some of the things he was able to pull off in maps 1 and 2. He's never going to be the player that w7m relies the most upon to get kills, especially with the offensive threats they have, but he needs to be a little bit better than 1 and 6. That's some sloppiness by Dots. He had ample opportunity to evade the nade. He doesn't get the job done. And despite losing their grip on this second half, Team Liquid have suddenly found their footing, found their grip. Yodes and Paulu are the last two against a very angry full set of Liquid players. 5 on the board. Nesk with a triple. A flawless round for Team Liquid. Yes, it will be. Maya gets the final kill within 1. Team Liquid go. Looking like we'll need all 12 yet again.
It is looking that way, Parker. To be honest with you, despite the fact that w7m have the lead, I almost feel like Team Liquid have played a better game in the second half. They should have likely won round 1. They very well could have won round 2. Round 3, it's frankly a crushing victory. You got Loban going down 1 and 6, one of the best fraggers on this team, not able to find any life. You got Dots unable to walk away from a red indicator frag grenade that's doing so much damage and just gets the free down on him. You got Dodez losing a gunfight to a Twitch drone. I mean, it's falling apart all over the place for w7m. And while they had some big heroics, especially in that first defensive round from Volps, to clutch back up and to get the victory for them, eventually Liquid are going to break through. You can only throw so many rounds as a Rainbow Six team, and whilst Liquid throw more than most, this is a team that should be able to get the job done with w7m playing the way that they are. I really do feel like they've got to find some kind of solution to the early game. every aggressive move that W7M have made in the last 3 rounds has not worked out for them. It's always been Team Liquid shutting them down, whether it's an entry pick from Nesk, whether it's Maya making his way in through the open area. They've got to find some way to win the early game to get themselves an advantage, or they just got to commit to playing passive. But frankly, that's not the W7M way, and I don't think relying like that, playing scared, is going to do well for them.
How do we play it? By the book.
There is a tendency as we get closer to the end point of a series that teams play a bit more passively if they feel that it's a close match. Every now and then teams will break out of their shells and go for broke in the final round or two. It leads to varying rates of success. But here, these two teams, with the exception of map 1, have shown that they match up stylistically very well. And all it takes is one individual performance to shatter a round for their opponents. I suspect as we go deeper into this night, which there might only be 2 more rounds, that both of these teams will start to slow down. Team Liquid is on attack, so they have to bring that tempo to W7M. But this W7M team can roam on this big map. They can very easily catch the attackers off guard and almost play offense on defense.
Well, Liquid have assessed the situation. They're aware of just how many players are here in open area. It's going to be Dodez and Palu with Logan supporting just inside of the elevators. The elevator clearer might go first. The Twitch drone spots it out. Kind of expensive to trade a Twitch drone just for that small bit of information that Logan is in the elevator. But they've got 3 players lined up beside him and a Candela. As long as this results in a kill, I suppose it's worth it for Liquid. Here it comes.
This is a very heavy investment, to your point. And Palu is waiting for their advances. He won't find it, though. He peels back. All of this focus being done, and Lenda will be the first to die. I don't think that's what Liquid was hoping for at this point, as they have barely been able to muster any type of attack on this upstairs portion of W7M's defense. The bomb site is down below. So all of this focus, all of this utility from both teams, and the time continues to work against Liquid.
They still don't have the top floor control. Like, less than 60 seconds, Dodez is still up here. I think he just saw one body. He'll see them now and hit a head. Perfectly played, and maybe he gets traded, but Parker, who cares? You wasted over 2 minutes on a roam on bank basement. There should be no way for Liquid to win this round at this point. They're going to have to drop, get crazy with the they're out of Candelas. I have no clue what the win con is here. They've got to just go for broke.
Grenades to isolate red, try to drop and make somebody fight right away. You're going to be engaged in a 50-50 gunfight. You have no help whatsoever over in servers. Volps could be the difference maker here, and it'll actually be a backdrop. So Liquid once again will hit the site from the back. I think that smoke missed. If that's the case, that might be the ball game on this round. Maya on the board. The fuse of Lenda still living on borrowed time from before. Maya firing up. Palu's attention there. Volps now having to get into the A-bomb site. Here comes the cavalry, and Maya will gallop to the defense. Volps waiting out the time. Liquid unable to get the diffuser down, and W7M moved to series point.
I'm at a loss for words, man. How many times is Volps gonna do this? Every time. It's the same style of clutch, too. It's Team Liquid pushing in with like 30 seconds. This time, you know, it comes off the back of a really strong roam game from W7M, so I don't want to take anything away from how well those roamers did on the top floor. But I mean, it's a last second push. It's Team Liquid going for broke. It's a crazy play from Maya to somehow bring that into the realm of possibility. And then Volps clutches out the 1v2, 1v3. I don't even know at this point. So late into the night, but whatever it is, it's good enough for W7M to take it all the way now. Series point, major qualifying point. That is the 4th 1vx clutch that Volps has had in this series. A massive 1v3 back on Nighthaven Labs, and then 3 separate 1vx clutches here on Bank. It is going to be extremely well-deserved, whoever walks away from this, but specifically for Volps, he has been putting the team on his back, kicking and screaming their way to Munich.
10 seconds remaining.
Matching our Los versus Nip contest earlier today, I think you could make a very credible argument that all 4 of the teams we watched in action today and continue to watch as Liquid and W7M might be far from over, have made a statement and have all made a case for why they have been in competition for these final 2 spots. For Los, it was heartbreak. 8-7, 8-7, 8-6, as Ninjas in Pajamas barely eked out a victory over a team that they were seemingly destined to slaughter in a 2-0. Here, we expected a deep fight between these teams. We expected them to go all 3 maps, and it didn't look so certain after that Chalet stomping that w7m gave to Liquid on Liquid's own map. But you're spot on, Jesse. This is a different Liquid team with a different mental. They looked past map number 1. They turned their focus towards map 2. They stole w7m's map away from them, and now we are in round 11 of 12 rounds of regulation. Can w7m seal the deal here and shut out Team Liquid in this fateful final round, or will Liquid find some energy and answer back? That's not the start Liquid wants. If it's the latter, Maya haphazardly walking to his demise, and an opening pick for w7m with over half the round to go.
That's the best player on Team Liquid. This is where you really get to see what a team is made of. Diaz takes half damage on the lobby rappel as well, so it's just getting worse for them. They need a break, they need a pick, they need something for this executes. But at the moment, they are just coming up short. Sen's wall about to run out. There it goes, being dropped now into sight. Still have 2 more of those in the pocket of Lenda that they can toss out when this execute eventually comes through. But, I mean, Parker, 4v5, this execute doesn't look promising. They need some way to get an advantage. They just don't have it at the moment. They can sit and fish on these windows all they want, but somebody eventually needs to get active. w7m are giving them nothing, and eventually they can go for a plant, but w7m will be ready with Yokais and Goyos and Maestros.
Well, some of those Evil Eye cams have already been taken out, and surely Team Liquid doesn't fall victim to an echo yet again. These are things that Liquid need to plan in advance, and again, success is where preparation and opportunity meet. Team Liquid has an opportunity here. Have they prepared for this moment? Are they ready for it? Palu slaughtering Nesk. w7m looking to repeat as back-to-back major champs, but they have to get there first. Palu finds a second. Liquid have clawed this one back, but it's w7m in the driver's seat. Daffo outside, and it's w7m in the Munich Major. The final SA League spot goes to the Bulls, where they will defend their crown. Huge game for w7m.